Hey, I just got back from lunch. Did you finish that report yet?
Well, not exactly. Still working on it. I'm not finished just yet. I got a little sidetracked, but I will get them to you first thing this afternoon.
It is first thing this afternoon.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but I mean, I am working on
But
it. I'll have.
what do you mean that the report isn't finished yet?
I'm still in the process of working on it. I've just been a little distracted.
Distracted. Our meeting starts in an hour.
I can have it.
No. What were you doing? Were you listening to another hunting podcast again? I swear, I give the staff in this office the freedom to do whatever they want to do as long as they meet a deadline. That is the first bullet underneath your job description. Pays attention to detail and deadlines. And deadlines. Dude, are you even listening to me right now?
Welcome to episode 194 of the Whitetail Distraction Podcast. My name's Austin, and joining me in the podport, Charles Hedland. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good, man.
Hi.
Hi.
Who else is here? Joe Hedland. What?
What?
Holy
guys.
shit.
Hey, buddy. Welcome back.
Yeah, it's been a while.
He remembers how this... You remember to talk into the mic?
I don't remember the last time I've been here, but I'm here.
Will you teach me to football?
And then we have Joe's friend. See how I didn't say my friend? Because Joe gets really upset when I take his friends.
Yeah.
Like, really upset, dude. Cody
That-
Calvin. Cody.
What's up, guys?
What's
Can't
up,
take Cody
hello?
Calvin, too.
That's the only reason Joe is here tonight is so I don't steal Cody as a better friend than
Yeah,
Joe.
I didn't come a couple episodes with Joe, Marcelo, and
Now, look.
Hey,
He's
I
not my
text Joe
friend
and he
anymore,
says, text Charles. So he kind of like pushed me your way. You know what I
It's
mean?
okay.
Well, this is on him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He gets very aggressive when I take his friends. So, sorry, Joe. I'm cooler than you. Okay? So, anyways, we're here. We're having a good time. You know who's not here?
Who?
Mikey Fennel, because
That's right.
he is currently competing at the Lancaster, I don't know what it's called, but archery event.
I just call it Lancaster, man.
The Lancaster.
Yeah.
So, he's currently competing in the bear bow competition. Down
Did last
the,
year, too.
Yeah.
He's ready to take it down this year. He was a little PO'd earlier, but, you know.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know
okay.
how many people advance, but, you know, he's got like an 8 average right now.
Yeah.
So he's like, I don't know how he's going to fall into place. But
He's going to be all right.
you know
Tomorrow
what?
he's going to kick ass.
I think tomorrow he's going to beat some ass. So.
Yes, I'm with you.
Good luck, Mikey Fennel. I had to get that shout out going because that's happening right now as we're sitting at this table. If you guys don't put your freaking Blistexes away, we're going to have some serious issues, okay?
it's a dry season, all right?
I put my
I
lip...
made eye
This isn't
contact.
Blistex. This is Dr. Squatch.
Oh, that's some
I
good
put
stuff.
my lip balm on before I came here like a normal human being.
I only did it because Joe pulled it out.
My wife got me some for Christmas. I've never owned a
Just wanted to set the tone.
I've never owned a thing of chapstick in my entire life.
My wife.
It's some kind of like man brand. It's actually
O'Keefe's
smells
is good.
yeah.
They make a lip balm.
Good old lip
The hand cream is like
fact
saves
you
my
guys-
life in the winter.
The fact you guys have that on you right now makes me question you a little
My
bit.
lips were so chapped today.
That's
I
because
didn't
you
make it
that's
home
because you
before
use
buying it.
chapstick. You know that.
I
right?
didn't
It is
use
true.
it.
I've been yelling all
saying.
day.
I think I
It
thought-
happens.
Apparently I need to yell more. Anyways, we're here. We're having
Yes.
a good time.
Yes.
Before we get into some good times, we need to recognize the people that make this possible. I hate that saying so bad, by the way. It's cringy, isn't it?
We'll talk about our friends in the archery industry.
Yeah, that sounded good. Who do we got?
VIP Archery.
Boom. Back 40 Seed Company. And soon to be ANF Custom Calls, baby.
Soon to be. It's not turkey
See-
season,
yeah.
Chuck. They're still deer. Oh, my God.
Beautiful.
Turkey shirts on, brother.
Look at this goofball. This is a
Dude.
whitetail podcast, guy.
Yeah, well, we just talked about coyotes last week.
I know. It's okay.
And if you've been on Polo lately, you know how fired up I am about this turkey camp that we're having for our Patreon members. in
I'm
May.
excited, too. It's
Dude.
funny. Adam asked me yesterday, he's like, hey, you're coming up for the weekend, right? And I was like, yeah, I'll be there Friday through Sunday. He's like, you spelled Monday wrong.
You did. Dude, their camp is legit.
I'm
Can't
sure.
wait.
I'm sure.
Can't wait. We got guys from Flow Rida coming up.
Who else coming?
Well, as of right now,
J-Bo.
J-Bo's committed. Sean is committed, but keeping it just in case something emergency comes up. But we're on the calendar. He's coming. Pork Chop now is looking at flights just today. We convinced him. And Graybeard,
No
the
kidding.
wild card, is looking to come back. He already got his license.
Why wouldn't
he really just wants to scout for deer in West Virginia. That's the only thing he wants to do while he's up here. But he's going to spend some days in turkey camp.
Graybeard, if you're listening, I'll come with you.
Shut your mouth. Shut your whore mouth. It's going to be turkey season soon.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be hunting turkeys.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. We're going to be at a new camp, new environment, new land.
It's going to be beautiful.
So anyways, we got Cody, we got Joe, we got Austin, we got me. We're here. Boys, we're going to be talking about some deer season talk as much as I want to talk turkeys. You turkey hunter, Cody?
Never been.
Yeah, I can't trust you anymore.
Yeah.
Good
I
thing
always
you're
wanted
Joe's
to.
friend.
I
It's
think
similar
we're
to
safe.
the archery
I think
thing.
we're safe as friends now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm out.
I always thought I was a hunter
Wow.
until I met the Hedlands.
What are you
and
doing
then
at
they
the
kinda
table there, Charles?
changed
Deleting
my
his
whole,
number?
Do you want to shoot a thunder chicken in the face with a shotgun?
Oh, absolutely.
You got him.
That's it. My wife, she's like tired of the venison, and she's like, you need to kill some birds. She's like turkey, pheasant, whatever. She's like, if you're gonna be hunting all the time, we need to change up the meat a little bit.
There you go.
So she likes to
She's
cook it.
not
She
wrong.
eats it as well. So I'm like, all right. She's kind of pushing for it. She's asking to get a license herself. And I'm
Oh, boy.
kind of like, my dad, that's
Stay in
always
your
been a
lane.
no-no,
Stay in your lane.
But exactly.
Hey, your spot's the kitchen.
She always did. She always wants to
She
jump in
cooking
on
these
my
birds
birds.
if you're out there with me.
He just said she liked cooking up the recipes. I'm just saying. I'm just stating the obvious here.
We're going to get canceled.
By who?
Coming home
The
to an
ladies.
empty kitchen.
Shit. All right. Sorry for offending your wife, Cody. Don't let her listen to this. I didn't mean it.
No, she's good.
Yeah. Anyways, if you want, I can offer my services in the turkey hunting realm. That has to happen in person. Okay. Those secrets don't just come out.
Oh,
okay?
yeah.
So I got to show you the ways.
No, I would love to. I just never had anybody to go out with. My dad never turkey hunted. It wasn't something I ever got into.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds like my story. You know what I did? I just learned.
oh, yeah.
And just went
Yeah.
out.
That's
That's not
kinda-
true. I actually piggybacked from a buddy of mine and his dad. That's who
There you go.
took me under
Actually,
their wing.
our brother was
I'm
always
trying to jump in.
sleeping in.
Yeah,
He's the only one I could call. And it will.
which is why we didn't turkey hunt growing up.
We didn't turkey hunt.
Yeah, my dad
a
never
whole
turkey
lot.
hunted. Russ, literally, you couldn't wake him up to go turkey hunting. And if you did, it was like 10 o'clock. Or if you were lucky enough, you were going in right enough time just to bump them all off a roost and then
Yeah.
not see or hear anything all day. We did kill one, though. I killed one with him, but dude, it was not fun. Put it that way. A lot of times. Joe got lucky a couple times.
Joe would be a serious turkey hunter if he didn't keep buying guns that don't go bang when he pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
He'd have a lot more turkeys, I'd tell you that much. That's for damn sure.
I don't know
2
what you
years
have the
in a
worst
row?
luck with turkey
2
hunting.
years in a row.
Well, the year, yeah. The 1 year, it might have been the year in between. We had that one that just held up and that deer snorted us. And it was just,
wouldn't matter. Your gun wasn't gone off.
yeah, probably not.
I had my
And
dad
then
a couple years
The best
in a row.
was the year after it didn't go off. I shot it the next year, and both turkey shots went off the exact same time on the over under, and it blew me. It almost knocked me over. Remember?
Yeah.
I was like, did both of those just shoot at the same time?
Which is not a good time.
That turkey would have been dead.
Give them both
It would have been
barrels.
hard to miss. That's for damn sure.
The bad part was like that over under. I shot like 2 years in a row. I shot one at like 60 yards with it, and I was like, man, this thing is legit. I love it. And then the next year, click.
No boom. Yeah, I don't know what happened. And then there was that incident with your other gun where you clicked and then
Yeah, complete
reloaded.
other gun.
Yeah. And
Why
Try
are we
to-
talking about turkeys? You see how he does this?
He does it.
He unzippered the
Some rants.
shirt.
Was
or
that
the,
me?
The jacket, and the turkey popped out, and all of a sudden we're talking about turkeys. We're
I
going down
honestly
a
don't
turkey
know
hole.
how we got there.
dude, I,
He's like a fucking
It's like a
ninja,
trance.
dude.
Yeah.
It's like a Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, it's like erased everything prior to that.
Yeah, dude.
what do you think I sprinkled on your fucking microphones? It's turkey dust. A little.
There was a moment where I was just like staring at the wall for a little bit, just like and I was like, "Whoa,
Whoa.
Wait, what are
turkey?
we talking about?
Right,
What?
yeah.
Shit, stop it. Don't do that.
And I can give you some recipes too. So you not only get the guide, but you get the recipes.
Well, that's what my
So-
dad, everybody's
goes
always
back
like,
into
oh,
it.
you can only
He
do breast
does.
and you waste a bird. And I'm like, I don't know. My buddy Charles, he swears on it because it was the
Oh, it's
same way
good.
with venison my whole life. I didn't eat them. I stopped hunting for years because my dad didn't keep them. I tasted venison and it was nasty. Once I like started cooking myself and I realized what I could do with that meat, I'm like, this is unbelievable.
I've made bad deer. I mean, you can
It
make
can
bad
happen,
anything. I've
but,
made
like,
bad chicken.
I've
it's
learned
just-
to trim
it's not like-
trim my meat. You know, what I mean, how you process it, how you wrap it, how you store it, how you trim it, how you cook it, and it's like now I can get my whole family to eat it. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a deer dog?
Oh my
No.
god, they're so good. They're so good.
Dude, they are unfreaking believable.
The best accident I ever made was I put all my deer in a marinade, and it was like sitting in the fridge like a day or two, and we just weren't going to get to it. So we're like, just throw it in the freezer, in the marinade. So we threw it back in the freezer. We pulled it out, and it thawed out. We cooked it, and it was phenomenal. It was absolutely
I
phenomenal.
don't think you should do that.
I don't think you are, but it was so
My
good.
wife
I don't
did
think there's anything
something-
wrong with that.
All right. As long
Yeah,
as
I've done it a couple
looked
times,
Austin.
and it's really good every time.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm not going to try it, but that sounds great. It's just a lot of work to do it.
I used to
but-
do all that marinade, and I'd marinate it. You marinate it for a week,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'd freeze it all in
Really?
like pound packs.
That kind of makes sense. to
Mm-hmm.
me.
Pull it
You
out.
can always
throw it
do it
on
when
the
you're
grill.
cutting up your stuff. If you want to
Yeah, that
you
makes
know,
more sense.
chop up your back straps, or even just leave them whole and throw the marinade in there.
The
Good
closest
stuff.
I've come to that is throwing the marinade in while the meat's just completely frozen and just let it thaw into the marinade. It's close as I've come to it. I don't know. It doesn't do anything different. It's what I do.
Okay.
This is exactly how Cody and I started talking about and got him here tonight, by the way, because this motherfucker started talking about how he did jerky with a backstrap.
You're
It was-
one of those.
It was
He's
my
one of
wife.
those.
So I'm doing
He doesn't
jerky.
turkey hunt.
I do jerky all the time.
You can
and
have 'em.
I tell my wife to set out some meat for jerky. And, you know, I had like 5 deer from last year, so we had a bunch of extra backstrap. She sets one out. She's like, hey, I know this is a no-no, but I set some backstrap out. I just want to try it. And I'm like, all right, you know, I would never do this, but you already defrosted it, and I'm planning on making jerky. So I cut it up and everything, and you know, I don't want to admit it, but I wouldn't do it. Like I was telling him, I wouldn't do it if it was my only backstrap. But since it was in with the mix, it was worth it. But I mean, you know, you kind of get a little surprised. It all got mixed in with the bag, and you're like, oh, this isn't bad, and then you get a bite of the backstrap, and you're like,
What makes it so much different?
it's
Be
just
honest with
it's
me.
nothing
tender.
really. It's just a tenderness. It's like when you
I
buy
guess
the Jack's Links extra tender.
Even dehydrated, it's more tender.
It's gotta be.
Well, I mean, it's
I
a
don't know. I
different
gotta
cut.
really-
It's not like
I
Yeah.
understand.
you know
that.
everything's going
Plus,
different
most
ways.
jerky's got like it still has some of the like little skinny
Sinew.
stuff and sinew. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean, backstrap doesn't have freaking
No.
sinew.
Yeah, we
so
cleaned it real
It's
well.
gotta, it's gotta
It
be
is.
unbelievable. I just
It's a
like
good
can't bring
bite.
myself to do it.
I would never do it again, but it was just one of those things. She set it out, and I did it.
yeah.
We
But
know
I was
somebody who
cracking
does it
up.
exclusively.
Well, that's what you guys were talking about. I was listening to the podcast, and I was like cracking up because I just did that this year.
Yeah.
And we started talking. I was like, "Oh, I'm still available if you want to." I got
by
a good
the way.
story, you know.
It's good.
I got this like smash my head off the wall, stumble, fall, and land on a deer story. If you want to hear it, you know.
Of course. Of
Yeah.
course.
I'll tell you what. If you want to just do tender jerky, just do the ground meat. It's so good.
Oh, it is.
It's
Yeah,
so
I've been doing
tender.
that too.
Or invest in a Jacquard meat tenderizer.
But huh?
I'm telling you,
Is Jacquard where it's from?
Jacquard meat tenderizer. They're like
know what that is.
$35.
What's it
You
do?
can turn any piece of meat into wicked tender.
Hmm.
Telling you.
All right.
Try it out.
I'm probably not going to, but I'll take your
Okay.
word for it.
I'm going to blow your freaking mind hole.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the possible Kill and Grill date's coming soon. Hold tight for that. That announcement will come out soon. Just made me think of it because you make always great stuff for the Kill and Grill. So make sure you can be there this year. Did you make it last year?
I think I was there.
Where are you?
Pretty sure. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
because J-Bo was
You
there.
were there. You
Yeah.
were there.
Yep. I was
It
there.
was a short stint, but you were there.
Did you do the antelope last year?
No, it was the
No.
year before, I think.
You did something really tasty.
What did
last
I do
year,
last
But it was
year?
like, what? It was a more. Was it a sloppy joe's or something more simple, but
Mm-mm.
like really good?
I don't remember now. Oh, I made queso fundido.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's a bandito.
Why'd you say it like that?
I don't know.
Here I am degrading women, and you're just gonna go and stereotype. What kind of podcast are we running here? Austin, get us
I don't
in
know.
line.
We're going
man.
to the bad path.
It was funny.
Jeez.
Yeah, that was really good though. That was the first time I made that. I was stoked about that.
Yeah, fundirdo.
Fundido.
It's a good call.
Yeah, dude.
Cody, you coming to Kill Girl?
Yeah, I mean, I think Joe invited me before. I don't know.
You kill it and then you grill it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have nothing. Well, we
Yeah,
were
he
talking.
ground up some backstrap and made sloppy joes.
No, I
You
turned
remember?
Joe on to the. Every time I used to always make a glaze with my backstrap. I do like cherries or elderberries or something
Ooh,
dehydrated.
that
I
would
make
be
it.
good.
That was
I
my
make a
honeymoon that got
glaze.
me on that. With
Well,
the,
I didn't. He didn't tell me that story. I was telling him that's how I make it, and he was like, "Actually, that's weird because I was
Yeah.
out west, and that's how they serve it." I was like,
Huh. Yeah.
"That was the recipe that I found, and I've been making it that way
they had
ever
the
since." And it just
Huckleberry or something like
A lot
that.
of people
or
make a
some type of
reduction and then they drizzle it.
reduction,
yeah, that's what I do.
Oh,
Reduction
yeah.
with dried
Reduction's
cherries,
so good.
and slice it and drizzle it over
Yeah.
top of it. And
It's so good.
My mouth
It
is
takes
watering.
it like it. Takes
I tried
it to
doing it with
another
mine,
level.
and I had a bunch of
So
it
you
was
did it
actually
with blueberries.
backstrap. I cubed up some backstrap, cooked it, and then I did the blueberry reduction, and I
It was
mixed it
different.
all up, and it looked disgusting because
Looked
it looked
like a
like
Smurf.
black deer meat almost.
But it's
because of
delicious.
the blueberry. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, cherries. I never fail with cherries.
I want
Oh,
to try
try
that
it,
elderberry. That sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
real
Yeah,
good.
out west, I think it was huckleberry or something
It's-
like that.
it's
Some
usually
type of berry
elderberry.
that I had no clue about, like
Something like
anywhere
that.
around here.
Do
I'd
they
be
serve it
huckleberry.
and go, "I'll be your huckleberry"?
It was something like that.
Is that how they serve that?
Yeah,
They should.
it was elk.
It's out west.
It was elk. It was good.
Elk meat.
Mm,
Yeah.
I could go for some elk meat.
me too.
Joe, remember we were going to plan that elk trip, and then we had babies.
Yeah, babies will do that.
That sucks.
I don't even want to talk about it, Charles. To be honest with you, because I mean, when I sit and like look at my life, I'm just like, am I ever going to go on an elk hunt? Another kid coming.
The
It's just
answer is
not
yeah.
gonna
Hey, just
happen.
think how many guys you talk to that spend 10 grand and come home with no elk.
We're not going
So-
to do
Yeah,
that.
but it's
Yeah,
sort
but
of hunting.
happens
I
a lot.
would.
We drove 17 hours to go kill a turkey. You know,
Oh,
we're
yeah,
not
it-
really there for the.
No, that's
it's not exactly.
that's the story
always
of
the
my
kill.
life.
It's
With,
more about just the,
the
trip
adventure.
and the adventure and everything else.
like that
Not
was
getting murdered by a mountain lion.
Mountain lion murder would be bad.
Yeah, that'd suck.
That would ruin our day.
Yeah, getting tossed around like a
Probably.
mouse.
Dude, that'd be
Just
really
getting
bad.
Your body played with.
It doesn't
Anyway.
sound so bad the way you say it. I don't know, man. I'm kind of in now. You got my attention.
Fondling.
Kill me better.
Claw me, you dirty mountain lion.
Cody's like, dude, where did I come right now?
Oh no, I've been there. I was leaving the woods the other day, and I swear I was getting growled at, and I can't find anything. And I'm like, is this in my head or like what's going on here? It's like sometimes that happens, and I'm like, is this real? Like, what is in the woods? You know? And I tell my uncle that he's like,
Bigfoot.
dude, you're like the top of the food chain. He's like, don't be scared of something in the woods.
Until
I
a
was like,
black bear.
I'm like,
freaking
something's
eats you.
growling at me, and I don't know where it's at.
I had a bobcat by me
Freaks
first
me
day of
out.
archery, and it was like
You ever hear a
attacking squirrels
bobcat
all night.
scream?
Well, I'm getting down,
Oh,
and I
no.
could have swore it wasn't even that bobcat because I was like looking at it. So I get down, and all of a sudden I hear just this screaming, like somebody's getting murdered. It sounded like somebody was yelling for help, and I'm like, I go help somebody,
Bro,
Or-
that's a skinwalker.
I gotta get out of here.
Get
Yeah.
out of there.
It was might have been Bigfoot. I don't know. It's
Might
like
have
the
been.
mountains.
Might have been an actual person just
It was Bigfoot acting like a person,
trying to lure you in.
trying to lure me.
It's like Deer Avenger, but Bigfoot Avenger. That's part of his call for humans. Help! Help! Hey, I've got pizza. Anybody else play Deer Avenger growing up? Great
Oh
game.
yeah, I
Best
love
Hey.
that game.
I'm naked and I have a pizza.
Deer Avenger 1, 2, and 3. Those are,
Dude, the best.
I
game.
love that game. I forgot about that game until right now.
Such a good game.
The best, dude.
I love Deer Avenger. I tried to play it like a couple years ago, I was horrible. It is the hardest game in the world.
I feel like I was good at it.
Yeah, it was really hard. Like Bubba or Earl, whichever one it was, I think it was Earl, kept beating my ass. Like I was really bad at it. I don't understand why. I'm older.
I'm about to
I should
pull
be
that
better.
out.
Dude.
Deer Avenger.
Deer Avenger, man. Great game.
Great game.
Almost like backyard baseball,
Another great game.
Another great game.
Man.
The good old days, back when we were kids.
It's like you finally get a computer and there's like a million things you can do with it, but all you do is play these like all you know how to do is play these little games,
Sims, Tycoons,
Roller Coaster Tycoon,
Roller Coaster, Zoo Tycoon, both
that was
great
it.
games.
I'm thinking of the paper ball toss with the fan and
paper
stuff.
toss on your phone.
That's the best.
Undefeated. I could play hours in that. So, anyways, we'll get back on track here. But I think, that's pretty good talk. I don't care what anybody says. It's good talk.
It's good talk.
It's good talk.
Yeah.
We're going to, I'm going deer hunting tomorrow, by the way. So, I'm last day of deer season. I'm excited about that.
Very nice.
I'm going to bring the old 400 Legend out and give her another try. I did. Yeah, that was on me because that gun is insanely awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, did I tell the story on here yet about it? I don't think I did I?
I think you told me you got one.
So I got one. I got the scope in the day before we were going to go out a couple weeks ago, whatever it was. I probably did tell this on Jeff's one. I put the scope on and shot, and it hit bullseye at 50 yards without doing anything. No bore sight, nothing. Literally put the scope on the gun, shot at 50 yards, and hit dead bullseye. Punched the red out of the bullseye. Shot it at 100 and hit the bullseye again. Shot 3 shots and went home.
That's a 1 in a million sort of thing.
That
1 in a
sounds
billion, probably.
Yeah,
insane.
I've never heard of that before.
Dude,
You're lucky to hit paper
I was amazed.
after you bore sight.
Yeah, so exactly. And I didn't bore sight. We didn't have time. We didn't do any of that. Like, not that you need time to bore sight. It takes 2 seconds. We didn't have a bore sight. So we were like, fuck it, we're going, right? Me and Sabelli. He put the scope on. We went out there. I shot at a piece of tape holding the target onto a big piece of cardboard because it was dead center. Hit the tape. I'm like, dude, I'm a quarter of an inch left. I said, let me shoot this again. Aimed at the bullseye, literally shot the red out of the bullseye. Like, could not hit it more perfectly.
I guess I got to have Sabelli start mounting my scopes, dude.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And he didn't do anything but tighten the bolts. I put the scope in place. He'll take more credit for it than he deserves. He did put the scope mounts on, and then I put the scope in the right place. And then it was a good team effort. I'm going to give him his credit.
Okay.
I've never heard of that in my entire life. I've never heard of anyone else ever being that way either. Even after bore sighting, you're usually not perfectly perfect. 400 Legend, baby. That's why Legend's in its
400.
name.
Good.
Hopefully he can bark at something tomorrow.
I like it.
I'm really liking that gun now. It's a sweet
awesome.
little gun. So, anyone else go deer hunting tomorrow? Deer hunting tomorrow? No?
No, but it should be
tag?
warmer. Last time I went, I was like, regretted it. I took I went out once and took the gun and realized I was in the wrong place.
Yeah. Wrong place,
because I didn't
wrong
want to
time.
drag the bow around. And then the following weekend, I went out, climb up, and I'm like, what am I doing? The wind's on me. It's freezing. It's like an hour in, and like at one point, I lost all dexterity in my fingers, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna get down. Like I'm like, I got to get down right now and warm up, or I'm gonna be stuck in this tree. So I was like, maybe I'm done for the season. I got deer in the freezer. I think I was just trying to get out of the house, and I just wanted to go. I'm still obsessed. I'm still like, I'm still learning and like. I got new gear. I got a new...
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, so we'll get there. So, yeah, it was like one of those things. I think I'm done now for the season,
Cool, man.
But I'm happy that you're getting out.
Yeah, tomorrow's the last day, so I got to go. I don't have to, but my wife's going to be away for
it's
the whole day with the
I would
baby,
do it.
So, like, what else am I going to do?
Yeah, I love to just walk around in the woods regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scout something new or...
Yeah, we were sneaking on deer last time we were out. Joe, Marcelo, Sabelli, and myself. It was good. We saw a bunch of deer. It's not like we didn't see deer. A bunch of deer. We should have shot deer. I screwed up. I didn't read the map correctly. I thought that the high point on the map was the low point, and it was actually it was a high point ridge, and I was supposed to be in the low point. I ended up on the top, and then they were down in the bottom. It screwed everything up. The whole thing got ruined because as soon as I got up there, I couldn't see off either side. So it was like, this makes no sense. They're pushing up. They did. They bumped deer, and I couldn't see them because they were over that lip.
Oh man.
And then to my left, where I wanted the other person to be, was all this thick, nasty stuff that if I kicked anything up, would have just went down there and been out of our lives anyways. So
What are you gonna do?
what are you gonna do? I missed a deer. That's what I did. Close shot too. So I snuck up on it. It was laying down. I could just barely see its back and its head up over it. I'm like, and it was behind a bush and a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, I kept looking. I'm like, if that's not a deer, I'm a moron. And then it moved a deer, and I was like, oh, it's a deer. So like, I'm walking. I got my gun up, and I'm walking left, like trying to get a better look at it because what the heck it is, I can't see it. I was like, screw it, I'm gonna take this shot. I should have just walked up to the next tree and shot it. It jumped up, ran out of sight, and right beside it, a really nice 8-point up.
Oh,
Which I did not see him either. Not that I could shoot him anyways. You can't. It's antlerless only with
you don't have a
gun.
buck tag either.
And I don't have a buck tag,
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter. He's just standing there, like looking at me. Beautiful 8-point, probably the one I saw in archery scene, same area. And that other deer runs up the hill like 40 yards and stands there, looks at me. And I was counting my blessings, and I missed. He was gone, out of my life. So either way, I didn't get anything.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
try to redeem myself now. That's probably Spelly calling me. No.
I thought you didn't have your phone.
I got the watch on, dog.
Oh, well, that happens. Either way,
So
we got somebody in here to talk about deer hunting.
yeah, let's rewind because Cody's in here. You've never been on the podcast before.
Nope.
Nobody knows who you are but Joe and myself.
Okay.
Austin doesn't even know you yet.
No.
I do now.
Yeah.
Hey,
we're
buddy.
we're gonna get to know a little
Nice to
bit
meet
more
you.
about Cody Calvin,
All right.
which is like, it's a clean name, by the way. Cody Calvin.
It
It's
is
like
a good
Calvin
name.
Klein almost.
Man.
You know, you get that a lot probably, huh?
I had a banker tell me the first time I opened bank account, he said, Cody Calvin. He's like, you should be somebody.
Right?
You know? I was like, that's what I thought, but, I'm still trying.
You should be like a country music singer, dude.
Yeah. I've tried them all. I tried everything. So
Yeah.
something's going to stick eventually.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
why don't you tell us who you really are then? Because we know who you should be, but nobody else knows who
Well-
you really are.
That's true. So,
Quick introduction: who you are, where you're from, what you do.
all right. Well, I'm Cody Calvin.
Astronaut.
I'm an astronaut. I'm an electrician. Actually, that's how I met Joe. We got into school together. We were both, I think I'm a couple years older than him, but we're like kind of the old guys in school, I'm from Beaver County. Grew up, but I moved all over the place. Florida, Wyoming, New York. I've been settled back in Beaver County and, decided to join the union. And that's when I met Joe. And we got working together and knowing that he was another like older guy. I don't know. But basically,
He's ugly.
so
He's
yeah. So we met in an apprenticeship and that's what I do. I got 2 kids, a wife. Well, I got 2 little kids. I got an older kid that's not with my wife. He's actually 17. So I had him. That's part of my story. I moved around, had a kid really young. Wasn't sure what I was doing or where I was going, but, kind of settling into myself now a little bit later in life,
Nice,
But,
nice.
With hunting, I felt like I always like known it myself as a hunter. I've hunted my whole life. And then I kind of met Joe and I'm like, man, that's like a whole different thing. Me growing up, it was like the camaraderie, my dad, it's like coming of age, you're not allowed up camp till you're 11 years old. You know, it's like the guy thing. We go up there, there's 10, 11 guys, grandpa, uncle, dad, brothers. And it was always a thing. We would go up for the whole week back whenever, opening day was Monday. My mom and grandma, they would all travel for Thanksgiving. All the guys would go to the hunting camp. My dad would cook Thanksgiving dinner. We would eat, we would hang out, we would scout, and then opening day, we would spread out and, you shoot the first thing you see, you pack up, you go home Tuesday. And it was like, I always seemed to get deer, you know what I mean? But like, that's all I knew. It was like, we would do some small game here or there, but it was like, the camp was what it was all about, and I just, my brothers always called me lucky, or it was just, I just always had like a knack for it. I love the woods. I lived in Wyoming, like, backpacking, rock climbing, like always an outdoors guy, you know, and hunting, just being in the woods period was always something I was passionate about. And actually, probably at 17 when we moved to Florida, I stopped hunting. You know, my dad got a job. We didn't know anybody in Florida. I lived there for like on and off for years and didn't hunt. And it was one of those things, like we would shoot deer and my dad nobody really did anything with them. So I kind of like, this is kind of pointless. You know, I don't know where my deer is going. I'm not eating it. It's like, I shoot a deer and then we donate it and that's that, you know? So I was like, this isn't really for me. But then I met some people out west and cooked some elk and all this other stuff. And I was like, man, I'm going to get back in. My dad moved back up here and we're like, we're going to get a new camp and we're all going to get back into hunting, you know? But it was always that, like, take care of the old guy, take care of the youngest guy. I got sons coming up. My grandpa, he passed away a couple years ago, but it was like, oh, it's going to be his last year, so we're going to just go up, take him out. You know what I mean? It was never, I was always slightly selfish once I got in the woods, but it was never like something I prepared for, or never scouted or anything. It was like, it was about bringing the next guy in or like seeing the next guy out. You know what I mean? It was just like the thing that we did as like Calvins. You know what I mean? It was like the hunting camp, the hanging out, the passing of the torch. And then, you know, I meet Joe and he's telling me all these crazy stories. And I knew guys that archery hunted and it was always interesting to me, but it just seemed like an expensive, and I have a lot of hobbies. It's like, I get obsessed about, it's like whether it's, you know, rock climbing, disc golf, softball, skateboarding. I had a band for a couple years. It's like anything that I could do to like occupy myself. So when I thought about like archery hunting, I'm like, man, that's like a whole nother thing. And it's like, just to get started, I need all this gear, you know? So I was telling Joe, you know, man, I'd like to get into it here or there. He keeps sending me, you know, bows. I'm like, $1,000, $100. I'm like, man, I can't do that. You know, I keep putting it off, you know, finally we top out. I'm making some money, you know, this year Joe sends me, he's like, hey, my dad's selling his bow. It's like $550 or something. I was like, all right, you know, I just topped out. I'm working some overtime. I'm like, screw it. I'll buy it, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, let's do it. I'm not going to hunt this year. It was like end of September. I was like, I just want to get it. I'm going to start shooting. I'm going to teach myself how to shoot. And I think I shot like a longbow when I was like 12.
Yeah.
Somebody's like Boy Scout day where they could bring a friend. You know what I mean? I like shot a bow, you know, but so I buy this bow off of Joe, get laid off like the next day. So I'm like, dang it, dude. So I'm like, all right, I got plenty of time. I'm going to shoot this bow.
Damn you, Joe.
But it seemed like it was all working out for a reason. I'm shooting every day, you know. I'm like,
Getting
You
confident.
could
I'm
have
like,
sold
you-
that bow for like $900 probably.
well, I was like, you know what? This is a great, you know,
Then you
I
get
love
a job that was like supposed to be 7/12s.
it. Yeah, so
Like the
so I'm
next
shooting every day
week.
for like 2 weeks, and then I get a call, and they offer me this job. It's 7/12s through the whole month of October. And I'm like, all right, we need this. This will make up. I need this money. But I'm like, at this point, I'm not hunting. I'm like, I'm just going to shoot this bow, but I'm already can tell I'm like getting obsessed. I'm like looking up gear. How do I hunt? Joe, when I bought the bow, he showed me his saddle, his one stick. He climbs his tree. I'm like, what is this? You know what I mean?
It's like wizardry, man.
And he
Yeah,
was
it's
a
like-
rock climber, and
So
he went
I-
to school for
I
like
have heard.
outdoorsmanship or whatever. What do you go?
Yeah, it was like national or outdoor leadership in outdoor leadership in something, I don't know, recreation. So I have heard of this before, and I understand ropes and stuff. And you know, my brothers always are like, "Oh, we've seen this." We're like, "That's right up your alley." So I start shooting, and I'm like, "Man, 20, 30 yards, I'm hitting in the bullseye around there. You know, I'm getting a pretty good spread." So I'm like, maybe I'll start piecing together. How am I going to get in this tree? You know,
Hey,
what am
by
I
the
going to
way,
do?
We call those groups.
Yeah, groups.
All right.
Okay.
I
So I
got
got
you.
a pretty good grouping. I'm starting to get a pretty good
He's new.
grouping
He's
from
new,
20,
you know? He's new.
25, you know.
He's working on his turkey talk. Hey, appreciate that.
Yeah, so now I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll go out, but I can't. So I'm working every single day all through October, and I'm like, start buying gear. I'm like, one of these days I'm going to be off, you know?
Cody did this thing. Sorry.
No, go
Cody
ahead.
did this thing where he would text me about gear, and I'd be like, I wouldn't do that. I would do this or that. Or I could sell you my sticks that are better or this or that. And he'd be like, well, I already bought it.
Here's the deal.
He'd literally send me something, ask me my opinion. By the time I got back to him, it's already like
I'm staying up
on
till
its way to his
midnight,
house.
like ordering stuff. And here's the deal. I already like the bow wasn't that expensive, but it was like my budget.
Yeah,
for
right.
my, you know what I mean? And now I'm like, I got to get in a tree. What's the cheapest way to get in a tree? So it's like XOP's got a full kit for $200.
Yep.
Gives me a platform, a freaking harness, ropes, tether,
saddle.
every saddle, everything I need. Not a harness, yes, saddle. Sorry. So I buy that. You know what I mean? Now I'm like, I need some sticks. I look, okay, Dunham's got Hawk Heliums on sale for $70.
Yep.
So I buy 4 Hawk Heliums for $70. And I'm like, well, here's the deal. I
Bug in
know
my
that
mouth.
this is bottom of the line, but I'm like,
Gotta
I
start
just
somewhere,
need to
buddy.
get in a tree.
Am I
What's
gonna
the
like it?
cheapest way
Yeah.
to get in a tree? And then I'll go from there.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, now I got all this gear and I don't even have a time to practice. So I'm just like obsessing, like checking out stuff, going out, hanging it on a tree, doing what I can. All of a sudden, they promised us 712s, and then they're like, hey, you know, we want to drag this on as long as possible, and there's not a lot of work, so will you guys be willing to do some 8s whenever they pop up? I'm like, sure. So now I'm like, the clocks haven't gone back yet. As soon as I get an 8-hour shift, I'm shooting out to the woods. So I'm like, okay, I got an 8-hour day. I'm on, you know, Onyx. I'm like public land. I mapped this whole thing out, everything that I want to do. I'm like, okay, this is where I'm going, you know, drive up to where I think I'm going to go. And it's not actually a road. It's an access road. And there's a gate there. And I'm like, the spot I'm planning on hunting is miles into the woods. You know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah,
like,
man.
what do I do now?
Gotta
So
buy
I'm
an
like,
e-bike.
I'm just gonna walk. I'm just gonna walk this trail and look around, you know. So I walk through. I start seeing good sign like right away, and I talked to like one guy when I walked in. He's like, "Yeah, nobody goes to the left. There's a lot of pressure." And I'm going way back in there. I was like, "All right, cool." So I go in and I, you know, go to the left, and I just start seeing buck rub, crossing, and I'm like, "Okay," you know what I mean? So now the tricky part is I haven't really used my gear. It's like, how do I pick a tree? So I look around, I pick a tree, and this is like my very first time out. Get all set up, and, you know, I start throwing out some blind grunts, you know what I mean? I don't know what I'm doing, you know?
I love blind grunting, by
I'm
the way.
blind grunting,
such a
and
good
then, you know, an hour goes by, and all of a sudden I'm getting this real loud grunt from up on the hill. And then it's like 5 minutes later, it's closer. I'm like, oh man, where is it? It's like, now I feel like it's probably 30, 40 yards away from me, but I don't have very good vision. I didn't pick a good tree. I'm not really on the trail. I didn't know where he was coming from. So right when I think he's about to be close, a hiker comes down the hiking trail.
He's coughing.
Hikes right down the trail, and it was about to be dark. And at this point, I'm like, I don't know. I'm going out basically trying to test my gear, learn it, you know, get comfortable setting up, picking a tree, all this stuff. And I'm like, screw it. That guy blew it up. I'm getting down. Get out. So, you know, I have a few of these in a row, you know, whenever. It's not every day, but like once a week or something, twice a week. If, you know, she says it's okay and I work 8 hours, I'm going out. And I keep going to the same area, picking different trees, you know.
Set up
then-
a camera at some point too, right?
Yeah, so eventually after I finally get a deer come in, once again I get grunts. I get grunts coming over the hill. Now I'm like, I'm watching a certain area where I think deer are coming from. I got grunts on this side. I'm spinning around in my saddle. And now I'm hearing footsteps this way. I spin this way, and then this doe catches me, and she comes trotting down. And she stops behind this bush, and I'm like, full draw, and I'm like, okay, is she going to move? And my dumbass, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, you just shoot this deer like a rifle. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of shit there. It's going to hit this deer. No. It ricochets. And luckily, and it's almost dark. You know what I mean? And I have no plan. I don't know nobody. I have no like nighttime tracking skills. I have to work in the morning. Like I'm not recovering a deer if I shoot it. So it's like I'm thanking God that like I didn't wound this deer. I didn't shoot a deer and have to, stay up all night trying to find it.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, this is a great learning experience. You know what I mean? Like this is like I didn't harm this deer. I learned that I don't take bad shots. I learned to have a plan, you know what I mean? All these things. So I regroup. I'm like, okay, these guys are talking about, everybody talks about cameras. You know what I mean? So I go buy some cameras. I set up some cameras right around the same area right away. Getting action, not tons of deer, but I'm getting doe. And then I'm getting, all of a sudden I got a couple like really nice buck. And I'm like, man, okay, this is a good area. I know there was buck rubs. I had grunts like 2-3 different times I was in there. And I had a lot of sits where like I didn't see nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not sure now. I set my cameras up on 2 different angles of this trail and I'm not sure where they're coming from. It's like, so every time I thought I knew where these deer were coming from, I would set up and then like I would have deer coming from like a different way. So this is like the big one. All right. So Halloween, so I'm like, and I'm like torturing Joe and Charles, you know what I mean? I'm like, is this right? You know what I mean? What camera, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like asking them, but I'm also just like going off instinct and I'm already doing all this shit.
He's sending us pictures of deer and the bucks and everything. He's going, well, what do you think we should do? And blah, blah, blah. And I go, well, he's pretty close to daylight, either like Charles has said in the past, track it back to where you think he's coming from, kind of like catch him 30 minutes earlier or something like that, or 30 minutes later, whichever part of the day it was. And then, we told him different things like that. And then what else was there, Cody? I don't know why I just drew a blank. I didn't know where Austin was turning up my mic. And I was,
sorry, buddy.
My brain just went.
I should turn you down.
You guys
just a
are
touch.
giving me different tips of, how, I didn't know where these deer were coming from. They seemed to be coming in right at dark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm sorry. I remember where I was. So, so we were saying like either draw it back or forward or wherever you think the deer was coming from. Maybe like a day where it just rains or something like that. Get in there right after a rain or some type of weather that might draw them out a little bit earlier or so on and so forth. We were telling you and go ahead.
Yeah. So like he was saying, so I try all that every time I'm in the woods, the deer are coming in right before dark. Or I had 3 different times I'm walking out and I'm running into the deer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That I know that that's where they're coming from. So I'm like, I just need a freaking day where I can come in here in the morning. You know what I mean? Or something. I don't know what to do. So like I said, I'm like obsessed. Like when I like think about something or like attached to a hobby, it's like I almost like will things into action. Like I can't like get over this. So this is a big part of it too. I'm shooting after work one day. I can't hunt, so I'm shooting. My neighbor comes talking to me. I don't knock an arrow. She's talking about, I go to pull back and I shoot. I'm like, what the hell was that noise? You know what I mean? I'm looking, I thought my arrow shot into the tree. I thought my knock blew up. I realized I never knocked an arrow. I dry fire this bow.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, my job's coming to an end. I'm about to take a week off to hunt the rut. You know what I mean? I'm like super pumped that I'm finally going to get time to actually hunt. I'm having all these missed opportunities. I'm not getting enough time in the woods. It's like I'm getting closer and closer. And I just want something to go right, And I dry fire this bow, and now I'm like, man, is this
FaceTiming me and everything?
Calling
I'm
Joe.
like,
He's like, you're fine. Just
I'm
shoot
like,
it.
I don't know. Like, does anything seem like it's bad? Does
Did
this
it blow
look like
up?
it's bad? Does this look like it's bad? Does anything look wrong? And he's like, no, everything looks pretty good. I'm like, just shoot it, pussy. I didn't give
He
you
ain't
that
lying.
advice.
So I
was nervous.
I put 3
I was
arrows.
like, just do it.
Put 3 arrows through it, and it shot fine. But I wanted to take it to a shop, so I take it to this guy. I find these like 2 little cracks in the limb. They're not, and he's like, those ain't cracks. I don't know what those are, but they're not cracks. It's like a little like stress fracture or something weird. So I mark it with a paint marker. He's like, I'm just going to tell you I would shoot it. He's like, I'm not going to tell you that it won't blow up in 5 shots from now, or it could be 100. He's like, but that's not a crack. He's like, we could, get new limbs or whatever you want to do. But I'm like, all right, whatever.
That's not great advice. You want to hear?
So
it's
now
not the
I'm
best
still
advice,
kind of
but-
like freaking out. I'm like, man, if this bow blows up on me, kind of. So now I'm freaking out. I just put all this time in. I'm finally about to get, a chance to hunt. And I'm not sure about my gear. So I'm like, whatever, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm still shooting it. I'm practicing. It's fine. Halloween, I get a day off. I get an 8-hour day. And she's going to take the kids trick-or-treating, and I go out. And I go to my same spot. I've been seeing deer on the cameras and everything. And it's like really weird, and I'm trying to like quit smoking at this time. And I don't realize, like, I have a patch on. I'm, like, chewing nicotine gum. And I'm, like, vaping. You know what I mean? And I'm, like, haven't had a day off in, like, 30 days. And I'm, like, just, like, kind of, like, burning it on both ends. You know what I mean? But I can't get over this archery hunt. You know what I mean? I'm, like, obsessed. I'm, like, it's all I can think about. It's, like...
It's funny you're getting over smoking by hunting.
Yeah, it's, like, I need something, like...
Your new fix.
So I'm like, I'm in the woods, and it's probably like 30 minutes till dark, and this weird like cloud comes over and gets like pitch black, and it starts hailing on me. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I get this real weird feeling. And about 10 minutes go by, and it clears up, and then I look to my left, and about 20 yards away, there's a doe right on the trail. I'm like, whoa. So I'm like, all right, let's go. This is it, my heart starts going. I go to draw, and the deer like senses me or something. And it just stays right behind these 2 trees. And I could see its ear and its tail, and that's it. I'm like, 1 step. I'm like almost at full draw. I'm like, just give me 1 step. And it feels like forever. I'm holding my bow.
Always does, dude.
And she knows what's up and does not step. She decides to go back the way she came. So I'm like, all right, well, now I'm like I haven't had like buck fever since I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't know if it's the nicotine or what. I've been having like some weird issues with my heart. All of a sudden, my heart starts racing. And it's like out of control. And now I'm thinking about it because this has been like something that's been happening. So now I'm like giving myself a panic attack, and I'm like, oh my God, nobody knows where I'm at. Nobody, you know what I mean? Like if I pass out, like now I'm freaking out. So I'm like, I got to get down as fast as I can. So I get down, it's starting to get dark. I get all my gear out, and now it's getting even worse. And I like get this weird feeling where I think I'm about to pass out. So I get to like the trail, and I'm like, this may be like kind of crazy, but like I call 911 because I'm like, I'm not going to pass out in the woods or have a heart attack. And, you know what I mean? I'm thinking about my kids and all this stuff. So I freaking wait for the ambulance. You know what I mean? I get to my car. The ambulance shows up. They check me out. They're like, everything seems fine. You know what I mean? We could take you to the hospital, or you can drive yourself. And now I'm like kind of embarrassed. You know what I mean? I'm like, what is this, dude? This like something's going on. It keeps happening to me. I don't understand it. Like, and I never cared about this stuff, but I got kids now. I'm getting older. It's like I thought I was invincible for all these years, and now it's like when my body's telling me something and I don't understand it, it's like freaks me out.
Yeah.
So I decide not to go to the hospital, and the next day, Friday, is my last day of work. You know what I mean? So I can hunt. So I'm like, all right, I just need to. So I call my dad. And he's like, you just need to not go to work. You need to get checked out. Like, you got to calm down. He's like, you're all fired up, and he's like, you're like in rut yourself. He's like, you're fucking freaking out. He's like, you're burnt out, you're stressed out, you're tired. He's like, you need sleep, you need rest, you need to relax. He's like, you need to figure this out. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, Dad. I just gotta shoot this deer. I got this big buck. He said, I got to go to work tomorrow. It's my last day, and so I go to work. They're like, okay, we're gonna offer you another job, and I'm like, well, I need to at least take a week off. You know what I mean? They're like, well, you got to show up on Monday, and they said that you could take a week off, but just
laid off.
just show up on Monday and do your paperwork and stuff, and then we'll give you a week off. So I'm like, all right. So Friday comes, I go to work, and oh yeah, they say all that. I go home. My wife's like, we got to go to the hospital, at least get these tests done and everything. Just see. You know, I didn't want to go the night before, but I'm like, you're right. Maybe I just make sure that something wasn't going on. So I don't hunt. I go to the hospital. They run all these tests. I'm there like all night. They're like, they did tell me I have like an enlarged heart that I need to get looked at, like, but there's no immediate danger. You know what I mean? So they're like, at the hospital, they're like, we really just look, are you dying or is there clots or something like that? And they didn't see any of that. So they let me go home.
You're telling me I can go kill deer,
hold on.
right?
Was your doctor also your bow tech? Because they gave you like the same advice.
Yes, exactly. The same guy's like, hey, man, nothing's like really broken. I'm not going to say like you're not going to have a heart attack tomorrow, but you're not having one right now. It's basically what they said. It's like, dude, so this is advice I'm getting.
Maybe not in 5 days, maybe not in 100 days.
He's like, but right now, he's like, if I was you, I mean, I would use that heart. You know, I would use it. So I was like, that's all I need to hear, buddy.
There's no cracks in your heart. I don't know
He's
what
like-
that is, but that ain't
He's
crack.
like, yeah, I mean, it's maybe, he's like, yeah, exactly. He's like, it's not a crack. It could be something, but yeah. So I'm like, man, what is going on? So I call my dad, I'm like, everything's good. They're all going up to camp. My brother, my dad, because I asked my dad, I was like, hey, you want to go hunt with me tomorrow? I got the day off. And I'm also thinking, man, my heart's being kind of weird. It'd be nice to have somebody in the woods with me,
For sure.
And he's like, oh, I got to get your brother and your nephew into the woods. And I'm thinking, all his hunting gear's up there. He's going hunting. He ain't going up there for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that was his way of saying, like, I'm going to go camp and hunt. So I was like, all right. I get home and I'm like, my brother's like, come up to camp. And I'm exhausted. You know what I mean? I'm like, I just want to go home, go to bed. I don't even know if I'm going to hunt tomorrow. I'm freaking exhausted. So I wake up to my alarm. And it felt like an hour. I sat in my chair just like contemplating it. It's like, I do not want to hunt. Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing, dude? Have you lost your mind? You know what I mean? Like, you just thought you had a heart attack. You've been working for 36 days straight at this time. Finally get a day off. It's like your family needs you. You need some sleep. And I'm like, dude, just fucking jump in the shower. Let's go. You know what I mean? And I kind of waited a little too long. So now I get to my spot. I get to the parking lot and I'm getting out. It's not quite light. It's not even like gray light yet, but it's a little later than I wanted to be walking in the woods. So I'm coming down like the main, like the logging trail or the access road. And I'm about to cut onto the hiking trail, and I hear like, I hear like that buck grunting up over the hill.
Okay, and someone thought someone was having a heart attack.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not a good. My throat's a little
Not a good
dry, and I don't have a good.
Okay, all right.
I hear. I'm like, dude, you got to be fucking kidding me. Is this buck already on the move? And I'm like, what do I do? You know what I mean? It's way up on the left. And like, I kind of go past that and to the right off of his trail. I'm like, is he moving or what is that? Do I sneak around, the backside to get to my spot? And I'm like really contemplating now. I'm like, man, I'm a little too late. So I say, screw it. I think I'm fine. I'm going to hold on to this drag line and I'm just going to wait. I'll walk the whole hiking trail and hope I don't bump this deer. And I walk, and as soon as I get off the hiking trail, I drop the drag line straight up to my stand, and I climb the tree. And even though multiple times I've had this buck grunting and coming from this side, all the other actions coming from this way, so I'm still setting up facing the opposite way of where this buck's coming from. I don't know why. All the crossings are over here. I'm just getting bad intel on my cameras or whatever. I'm thinking they're moving from a different direction. So I set up and everything. And, 8 o'clock, I think I hear movement behind me. And I go to, do my spin move to my weak side, and I fuck it all up. You know what I mean? I didn't have enough slack in my tether. I got tangled up. I'm like, this is terrible. And luckily there was no deer coming, but I'm like, that was screwed up. And we'll go back to the gear real quick. My gear is very uncomfortable. You know what I mean? I got the cheapest gear possible. I can't seem to sit still for 5 minutes, and I'm always fidgeting. I'm always fidgeting, readjusting stuff, but I don't have this weak side spin down. You know what I mean? It's like, so I'm like, all right, if that was a deer, I'm screwed. So for the next 10 minutes, I practice pulling that tether and spinning, you know what I mean? And grabbing my bow and pulling. I'm like, all right, I'm chilling. Start throwing some grunts out. It's maybe 9 o'clock, and all of a sudden, I didn't get no grunts back, but I start hearing movement again behind me. And it was I peeked over my right shoulder, and here he comes, trotting down that trail, about to cross the hiking trail. I'm like, oh shit, this is it. You know what I mean? And it was fucking butter. I grab this tether, I grab my bow, pull that tether slack, and I spin all in one movement, and I'm all the way back. Tether's around my shoulder, my bow's in my hand, and he's moving. And it's now he's right in front of me. And I already I know all the trails, so I shoot them all. It's that's 20, that's 30. So he's about 30 yards coming down this trail. And I haven't been able to pull my bow yet, and he's almost right in front of me. He jumps over a log, and I go to draw, and he stops. I'm like, oh shit, And I'm like, I don't only have a small window, and I'm waiting. He didn't notice me, so he picks his head up and starts moving again. I pull all the way back, and I've messed this up already. I missed deer. I can't get anything right. But for some reason, I was able to do all these little micro thoughts, put your nose on the string, you know what I mean? Get settled all the way in, pick your spot. You know what I mean? And all this is happening, he's moving. This is all happening really fast, but for some reason I was so fucking dialed in. And he comes across that last window, and I maped him, and he stopped. I threw an arrow.
Oh, you should have shot it.
He kicks up, shoot the arrow, kicks his back legs, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. Everything happened so fast. And I see this deer go about 20 yards. He tries trotting up this little hill. He stops, he takes 3 steps backwards, and he falls over. Oh. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? I couldn't believe it. I have nobody to celebrate with. I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? I'm like, this deer is down. He's down. There's no tracking. I'm like, wait. I'm like, all right. I pull out my binoculars. I'm like, is this the deer I've been waiting on? You know what I mean? It was I could tell it was the big deer that I thought I had on my camera, but you can't tell. I just knew it was a good mature buck. So I pull up my binos, and I'm like, I see all the blood, and I see some antlers, and I'm like, I'm not even waiting, dude. That deer's dead.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, I crawl down, I get over to the deer, and I pull out my phone, and I get I'm like, Joe texted me, and I pull it up, and it's a video of him shooting a doe. Literally 2 minutes ago. And I'm like, did we shoot a deer at the exact same time? So as soon as I watch this video, I hurry up and take a picture, and I send it to Joe. He's like, dude, did you just shoot that? I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to do, bro. I was like,
Charles and I were hanging together, and I shot a doe, and he filmed it, and I sent it.
I remember that morning. Cody. I got that video too.
Yeah, that's the same morning. I think a few people shot a buck that morning. It was a good
such
morning.
A good day.
Dude, it was a great day.
It was awesome. I pulled out my phone, and right away, Joe's shooting a deer. I have somebody to share it with.
What day was that? Do you remember?
November 4th, I believe, Saturday.
Okay, yeah.
I'll never forget it, dude. It was it changed my whole life. The whole archery thing. So I'm texting Joe, and I'm like, now I don't know what to do. I got a little Fiesta, you know what I mean? And I got this big ass buck. It was a nice 10-point. And it was the deer. I look back at the videos, he has this little sticker tine. that gives them 10 points, you know? And I'm like, that's the one. That's exactly the deer I was waiting on. And everybody's at camp, you know, everybody had call, and Joe's like, what about your brother, your kid? You know what I mean? So I'm like, you're right. You know, I know Aiden goes to work. Aiden's my son, he just turned 17. So I call him. I'm like, bro, I just shot a freaking buck. You know what I mean? What are you doing? He's like, nothing. I was like, will you come help me? He's like, yeah, where are you at? It was like, dude, this is like the coolest thing ever. Like my son, he shot his first deer last year, and he's like me, young. He don't really care. But he just, any moment he can to like hang out with his dad. You know, when I called him to tell him like, hey, I got this buck, you know, you can help me. Like he jumped up and he's like, send me a pin. I was like, all right, I'm going to tag this deer. I'm not even going to gut it. I'm going to tag it, pack all my stuff out, walk it to the car, and I'll meet you at the parking lot. So my son shoots over here in his truck because I got on a little truck, but you know, I don't have a truck, so I'm like, this is perfect. He's gonna come over in his little truck, you know.
Yeah, dude.
And he comes, and we walk back there, you know, and I feel like so proud. You know what I mean?
You
Not
should,
only
man.
did I
Hell
just
yeah.
shoot this deer for the first, all these freaking things that happen, and now my son's coming. You know, I got this deer. We're dragging him out. Both of us I didn't even put a drag on it. We like both grabbed the antlers because it's pretty much a hiking trail the whole way. But the funniest part is that we're coming off. I haven't seen anybody except for that first day on a hiking trail. I'm dragging this freaking deer, and I look down on the hiking trail, and there's this guy and his little daughter with like purple hair or blue hair, and I'm like, oh, dude, they're not gonna like this. And there's a little sign that says like hiking use only, and I'm like, I always just assumed that was like no like dirt bikes or anything. It doesn't say no hunting. It's a hunting area. So I'm dragging this deer, and I'm like, hey,
Straight down the trail,
I
just blood.
holler, I'm like, hey, just so you know, is it okay that I'm about to drag this deer down there in case he wanted to like, you know, have his daughter turn her back or something. You know what I mean? If they were uncomfortable, he's like, yeah, I guess. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, all right, well, I'm coming anyways. It's like, no, for me.
I'm just taking my deer for a walk.
This is literally the easiest way out of here, buddy. Like, I'm sorry.
You want to shield your blue-haired daughter's eyes.
Yeah, close her eyes.
Mister.
And, you know, the whole time I'm like, we're like trading arms back and forth. And I can't believe it's like listen, and here's the thing real quick. This is only the third buck I've ever shot. I shot like a 6-point basket like in 21. And then last year, first year after my grandpa died, it was the first year we haven't hunted with my grandpa. I got a buck, Aiden got a buck, my dad got a buck. Me and my dad, we had more deer than we've got in this camp like my whole life. And it was like, Pap was fucking looking after us.
So
He sent
cool,
us
man.
all these deer, dude. My son, crazy, he just goes to the car, sits forever because he freezes and never sits in the woods, comes right back out, sits for 5 minutes, deer runs into him, he shoots him.
Awesome.
So he's all pumped and whatever. Yeah, so I got a nice 8-point last year, and that kind of got me like, man, I'm not going to get another deer like that unless I get into archery. You know, that was like once in a lifetime rifle deer. Like I've never seen a deer like that in rifle in my whole life. So I'm pumped, you know what I mean? I was willing to shoot a doe. I was willing to shoot anything. I just wanted to get a deer under my belt with this bow, and I landed. It was like everything was super chaotic, but it's like I did do a lot of things right. You know what I mean? Like I picked a spot, I stuck with it, I saw the sign. You know what I mean? I like wind and scent and how many times did I climb a tree and had no shots and was like, I don't have time to get down. I'm just going to sit here because it's like, you know what I mean? Like learn from my mistake. And like this day, just everything went perfectly. And, you know, I landed a buck. I don't know if it's better than last year. It's an older deer, you know, a couple more points. Last year was a real nice, symmetrical, real tall 8-point, but you know, this deer, I was super proud of it.
Dude, who cares? That's your first archery buck. That is unbelievably awesome, man.
Yeah, and you learn from, you made a lot of mistakes to get to there.
Yeah.
You know, you missed the doe, you dry fired your bow, you did everything wrong, and then you practiced something that you saw was lacking, which I just started with a saddle last year, and I'm still lacking things on the saddle. It's just I mean, we'll get into it, I'm sure, but there's certain things, there's so many techniques, there's so many different things with the saddle, and you noticed a weak point and you took time, whether a deer saw you or not, it was important that you took that time to get those moves down. Yeah, you probably should have did it in your backyard. I probably should do some stuff in my backyard that I don't, but you took the time, whether, like I said, if a deer sees you, who cares? Because if that deer comes through and you don't have that move locked down and you aren't like butter, like you said, and, you don't kill that buck. So who cares if you spook a doe or a buck or anything? You're trying to get something down that's going to get you to that point for years. For years, you're going to have that move to where I got this locked down. This deer comes here. I'm smooth. I'm not going to be tangled up. I'm not going to be too long, too short. And yeah, you did a lot of wrong things that honestly built you up to make that shot and to kill that buck. And you talked to two of the best hunters that I know.
Absolutely. How many times I apologize to Charles, like, man, I'm sorry for texting you again, buddy. Like, and this
It's
is like,
good to have resources like that, though, man.
It
Honestly, ask the questions.
but like, I'm comfortable blowing Joe up because he'll just ignore me for 2 days. You know what I mean?
Well-
Charles is like a good guy. He'll text me right back whether I'm annoying him or not, and he'll never tell me that. Joe will just ignore me for 2 days.
I do the same thing. I'll read something and I'll think about the answer, and then it's like I answered you in my head, and then I just like forget about it.
That's
and then
his version of it.
later on, I see that like a text from me, like, damn, did I not answer him? But
Yeah, so they helped me tremendously. Like, not only did they give me like the motivation or like the spark to that, like, man, that's the type of hunting. Like, I want nothing against my dad taught me the woods, everything I learned from these guys, but it was just like a different type of hunting. You know what I mean? So learning from these guys, like, man, I want to do that. Like, that's something I want to be a part of, and just them putting up with all that stuff and all my mistakes and learning from it, and to land that deer, it just felt like the most reward. I'm like hooked now. It's like the most rewarding thing that's ever happened.
Dude, you catch that archery bug, it's over, bro.
Oh,
I will
man.
say, though, and they're going to agree with me 100%, there's one more investment that you have to make for this whole entire adventure. Spend the $100 to $150, get a deer cart.
Oh yeah.
that
Oh
helps.
yeah.
Dude.
We have one at camp, but
Get one, and dude,
I
mine's hanging on
usually
the
let
wall
my
there.
dad keep it.
It goes in the car every time I go hunting, and dude, that thing has
New
saved me
Cabela's
1,000
ones,
times.
I'm at this point where
New
I need
Cabela's
one.
ones are unreal. I got mine in the back of
I'll
my
drag
truck still.
deer while I smoke cigarettes. That's like what I did my whole
I
life.
used to do that.
And now, like, it's getting like hard. And now the bigger deer that I get, it's getting hard. And I'm further in. I'm like, this is impossible. Like, the deer card is a must.
You
know
went
what I mean?
back to your car. I just leave in the car, dude.
Yeah.
You went
Yeah.
back to your car. You took all your stuff back to the car. Grab your shit. Grab your deer cart.
Oh,
come
would've
back
been-
in. Bring it out, dude.
Because listen, I cry sometimes, like the early on telling this story, like my son coming and
that's so cool, man.
dude coming, bringing his truck, dragging that deer out with me. It was like, not
Dude,
only did I not have to share that moment alone, it's like my son was there. Like, it would have took me 5 hours to get that deer out. I was dying with him. It was like,
There's nothing like another
Oh.
person on the other side of those antlers, you know?
Yeah.
it
You know what I'm
was,
saying? It's more than just a helping hand. It's like you said. I mean, there's more to it.
Sharing
than
that moment
Yeah.
with them. and it's your
Sometimes you
son.
just need the freaking motivation too.
that's it.
There was one time we were in a hellhole swamp. I'm dragging this deer. Charles is just trying to like clear the way and find our way out of here. Our flashlights were dying, and like
Such
I'm
a
dragging
bad
this deer.
time.
I was like, dude, we are never gonna freaking get out of here.
It felt that way.
It
I mean, I
did.
think we got out at what 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
2 in
but
the
Charles is
morning?
like, dude, we're gonna find our way. We're gonna get
we're
there.
gonna take
Sometimes you just need
turns.
that motivation.
Yeah.
dude.
At one point, I just grabbed the thing and just started pulling it by myself, and I'm like, "You can't even move this deer more than a foot at a time." Like,
Well, I hear all
It's
these
so
stories
bad.
of these guys tracking deer all night with
Yeah.
a team and recovering these deer. And I'm like, dude, if I shoot this deer and it's not a double lung or a heart, and I'm by myself, why am I even out here? Like, that's the other thing. It's like, I don't want to do that and not recover a deer. It's like,
Well, you
So-
waited and you found out, like when you shot at that doe and you had that ricochet, you waited. You figured out you need to make that good shot, and that deer
I
came
was very
in.
grateful.
You made a perfect shot. A deer
Ah.
don't. I mean, I can't tell you how many times guys have shot deer and they got to track it hundreds of yards. You were lucky to get that one that like, especially your first one.
Oh, it doesn't even seem real. Like it doesn't. All those things that added up to that point and landing that shot and all that. It's like, how did this happen? You know what I mean?
It happens to everybody. It's happened to me. It's happened to him. It's happened to him.
Well,
like,
that's another thing he kept bringing up all year. He was like, "Well, I've been listening to your podcasts. You know, the ones that I had." And he's like, "You've always had these just." You've had a couple jobs. Like crap years, like the Jimmy year.
Yep.
The Jimmy Ohio Buck year.
He likes apples.
Yeah. R.I.P. He's like, you've had these years that just blown up on you. Like when there was nothing else, your back's up against the wall and all of a sudden you just come out of nowhere. And that's almost the year he was having at that point, not as bad. But
no, not as bad. Not even close.
But, he kind of took that motivation, is what I'm saying, from just listening to the podcast alone. And that kind of drove him as well to kind of just keep getting out there. And like you said, you're sitting on the couch for like an hour. It felt like an hour. Just
we've all been there, too.
I know that feeling.
And honestly,
I don't get out of bed. I lay in bed.
Those are the moments, like I've said a million times, that I've always had my most success. Just the days where you're just like, oh, come on, man. Like, you've been at it for so long, blah, blah, blah. Like, do you really want to do this? And those are the days where you force yourself out. It's like the deer gods are just like, here you go, buddy.
Yeah.
You are working hard for this. Here
you
go.
The Pop-Tart buck I shot that year.
Pop-Tart buck.
Pop-Tart buck.
Yeah,
I'm going to call it that. But, the young stud.
Come on, dude. I didn't want to say it.
The Pop-Tart buck was one of them
young stud,
dude. I hit a freaking gorgeous 9 point that we were after, our target buck that year, and didn't find him. He lived, and then later on, I took my aggression out on the young stud. But I showed up late that morning. I showed up late. I went into that stand because I was running late, and then
you killed the young stud.
Killed the young stud within 5 minutes of sitting in the stand. My Pop-Tart was still sitting on the limb.
Unfrosted blueberry.
Correct.
I know.
Yeah.
You gotta go frosted. Who goes unfrosted?
I don't
Serial
know why
killer.
I had them, dude.
Serial killer.
Come on, man. Who eats an unfrosted Pop-Tart? That's like Mom used to get the unfrosted, cinnamon or something? Unfrosted cinnamon, the worst Pop-Tart ever.
It might have been frosted, and I like those brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts.
Brown sugar cinnamon.
It was unfrosted. I remember.
It might have been unfrosted.
It was unfrosted
blueberry. It should have been frosted. We probably bought the wrong one. I don't know. I don't even eat Pop-Tarts anymore, but
I love Pop-Tarts.
You're right. Those days makes me. First off, appreciate the kind words about the podcast and everything.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
That's great that we were able to help you out a little bit, even though you
even just influence you, man. I mean, that's just
it was me, not you.
Cool,
right?
man.
I said, you just listen to his episodes for some unknown reason.
No, he just
great
said
episodes without him on it.
That's what I listened to first. He's like, "You gotta listen to mine." It's like the best episodes we've ever had.
Hey, I think it's still like top 3. And
they were pretty good.
It's up there, right?
It's up there. The Jimmy one's up there. Yeah, that one was like top 5 for a while.
Yeah,
and I haven't looked in a while. Probably past the Clint Casper
just
one.
the passion that like Charles has, and like how doing a podcast, and when he got his buck, what I mean, I was so pumped for him.
Yes.
I'm like, that's so freaking cool, And Joe, of course, is having his retarded season where he's like, I winged a deer here. It's like every year, dude, all through their apprenticeship, he's telling me these stories. I missed 12 times. I shot a deer here. It's like,
come
and
on.
then he's
Shot him in the
like,
toe.
then he shows me a picture of the biggest deer I've ever seen in my life. Like later on in the season, I was like, okay,
Joe's good for that.
So
come on, man.
But no, the podcast and Charles, Joe introduced me to Charles through like softball, so I got to know him a little bit before Joe was like, just text Charles. He knows more about saddles than I do, because. So I'm like, all right, we're not like buddies, but I know Charles well enough. And
wow, I thought we were friends.
We were. I'm saying,
no.
But you know how it is. Like, I
fine.
can't. I'm not sure. I play on the softball team, and he's such a fucking nice guy. I can't ever read people if they're just like really genuinely nice guys, or if they actually like me. You know what I mean? So it's like I knew he was just one of those guys that's like not gonna tell you to fuck off. Yeah, I mean, he's gonna be genuine when you speak to him, which is usually like the Hedland experience.
Yes.
Even though Russ doesn't say any words, if he does, they're kind of nice. You know what I mean? But it's like I appreciate. They just remind me of my family, and like the morals or values of like how we like to carry ourselves or treat other people. And I just been drawn to them ever since I met them, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just like, so I just appreciate it, you know?
Oh, anytime, man. Anytime.
And that
I mean
I was successful, and I could be like, see, I told you. I was like not going to take no for an answer. I was like, I got to show these guys that all this isn't like just me being psychotic. You know what I mean? Like, like my obsessive bullshit and everything, like I'm going to do this, you know?
It's unfortunate you waited so long to, excuse me, to get into it, because I could have hooked you up with a saddle platform.
Well, I was supposed to
didn't
sell
have
my
sticks.
bow apparently, and then I sold it to Tim, and then I was like,
Yeah, I got 2 older bows.
Wait a
like,
second.
I could have outfitted you completely.
Then I heard you say you dumped a whole bag on somebody on the other episode of like clothes. I'm like, dude, I'm like piecing together camo. I'm like buying like Walmart stuff. I'm like, whatever I could get. You know what I mean? I'm like, but I'm not about like asking people for stuff either. That's like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not my thing. I will go out there with real tree, you know, $25 Walmart jacket, you know, hoodie, you know what I mean? Like, whatever I got to do. The other stuff fits nice and works better and looks cooler, but it's like, if I can get it done with whatever I have, like I eventually upgraded my sticks. I bought a
new saddle.
I did get the
Whoa,
buzzard roost.
Oh, yeah, we talked
I went with the buzzard roost.
Oh,
Listen,
interesting.
I've heard good things.
the patented 2-panel with both
You got micro adjusts on
they're
there.
micro adjusters. They're all so. The XOP was impossible. So much hip pinch, so much crap. It was like,
Yeah, I would not.
I
have
don't
ever told
think
you
I
to
could-
get that saddle.
That got you in a tree.
I
But
only
you're
did
not
it
wrong,
because I got the platform, the tether, lineman, everything for
Yeah.
$200.
Yeah.
And then I bought the $80 sticks. So I got Skeletor sticks now.
Nice.
And then I got the buzzard roost.
You're gonna be so much more comfortable,
and
dude.
I'm already like,
Yeah.
dude, now I want, you know, I did even buy a rope and stuff. I was thinking about one sticking because I was like, I got ATC devices and stuff. I could rappel.
I might be selling mine.
Well, there you go. See, because I'm like, I'm on the fence. I'm like, at least I could
You're
start
getting an
getting
Arsenal,
gear.
aren't you?
Fuck yeah.
I know you were.
I got to get the new Arsenal.
I know
Oh,
I
you
have
were.
to have it.
Which the saddle or the platform?
The one stick that just dropped at ATA.
Oh, I didn't see
They
that.
do have new saddles though
Dude,
too.
new
I
saddles.
did see the
that
saddle,
are
but I want
phenomenal
the
looking, too, but you got-
platform looks awesome. If I'm gonna stick with just the sticks and platform, because that's the other thing, getting lighter. It's like my shit was so heavy. I was getting like, sometimes I was only bringing 2 sticks and then 8 just to get 15, 12 feet. Because it was like, I can't hike this stuff. Like,
Yeah. The new Arsenal platform is 2.2 pounds.
I did see that.
for the one stick. Sorry, one stick. Not
That's
platform.
the smaller version that you just put it on a stick.
No,
It's just the top.
They've made an actual
Oh,
one stick.
see, I didn't
So
know that. I seen
it's
their
a-
new line, but I didn't
yeah,
see the
it's
one
a-
stick.
It's a carbon fiber stick
Yeah.
with the Arsenal top and the Arsenal, like a little mini platform for the bottom step,
Oh, okay.
which is unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still
Man.
haven't made the jump to one stick either.
No,
I've been
you
doing
haven't?
this forever.
I
I'm just so
mean,
comfortable with sticks.
I
on a
love
freaking
my one
platform,
stick. I
dude.
love it to death. But that one, I need to have it. I haven't been that way in 4 years. I've been very comfortable with my setup. Everything's been good. I haven't bought anything. I got that platform for Christmas a couple years ago. I've used it one time. I haven't used it since. So I'm like, I was thinking about selling it and getting rid of it. But now I think I'm just going to put up in a tree and have it like a fixed stand somewhere and climb up into it and use it.
That's a good
I would
idea.
just sell it, dude.
But I might just sell it.
I would
might just
sell
get
it.
rid of it.
That's like, I keep getting, and I'm like, well, now I have sticks if I want to get a lock on. My brother was like, maybe I should get a bow. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
you should get
You know, you're even influencing
getting
people.
extra well, they're like, I've always been I've always been the lucky hunter or whatever, more serious about it or whatever. So I get deer. And, my dad kind of said something to me this year. He's like, I'm getting older. He's like, you're kind of going to be the one that's going to have to take this over. You know what I mean? It's like the other guys, are about this, but he's like, you're obviously, you're going to have to start pulling some weight around here. It's like, because my dad, he'll go up, do all the scouting, he takes care of everybody, sits everybody down.
Yeah.
But like, I'm interested and I kind of do my own thing now. So, I would like to. They're starting. My dad's getting a crossbow, and he's been going out just like spending time in the woods, and
You need to get him some ladder stands and get them into getting into that way.
That's all we got. We set a
Easy
couple
entry.
up. We set a couple up, and he's like, I got a couple other ones up there that he just needs me to go up there and help get the ladder stands in and something he's comfortable with. And he, I'm trying to tell him he needs a harness. Like, he's like, I sat up in that one that we put down there. It's a single. It's just too small and sketchy. I was like, well, Dad, you gotta be tied in. Like, I don't want nobody climbing that ladder stand without a harness. Like, he's like, well, the double ones with the bar, once we get those up, those will be better. I was like, I still want you to be tied in. You know what I mean?
Can happen. I know a couple that personally, they were up in a double stand like that, and the thing collapsed. And it was a guy and a kid. He landed on his kid, and they were like in critical condition just from a double ladder stand collapse.
It's
like
a nightmare.
Just broke. The stand just broke.
Yeah, and
we
leave them in the woods. They get weathered. They're not good material to begin with, and it's like they're in the woods for 2 seasons, and it's like, and then you're gonna climb it with no tether, no harness. You know what I mean? It's like
hunter safety system makes phenomenal. Just normal
Tree stand
over the
wingman.
shoulder.
Yep.
Yeah,
No,
we
not
have
the tree
one.
stand. The tree stand wingmans are great. I bought Dad one. I don't even know if he still uses it.
Probably not.
I hope he does, but he probably doesn't.
Mhm.
And that's basically just if you fall, it actually repels.
It's a fall arrest system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
down
I've
to
seen
the
them
ground.
before. Yeah.
That way, and you can reuse them where most you cannot.
Yeah,
But,
once they take that weight, that they're
that way, if
Dude,
something
look at the
does
tree
happen,
stand wingman.
that's like the ones we
Yeah.
wear at
Made in
work.
Pennsylvania.
buy your
Oh,
dad
the
one.
wingman?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I got to get them ones because there's a couple ladder stands that it's like when we're in the area, we'll get up in. But it's like, I'll wear my, I'll bring my, well,
You
the
wear your
XO,
saddle.
the XOP saddle, it had
both.
a tether
It
in
has
the
suspenders
back and
and
had
stuff.
suspenders.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I did like about it. And I kind of got the suspenders with the buzzard roost. And I'm like, do I even need these? But I was so used to having the
It helps keep
suspenders.
them up.
I like.
I do like the suspenders, but it was then right after I bought it, I thought I got a deal and they'd come out with their new one. And it's like they were selling the old ones for like $150 cheaper than what I paid like a month later. I was like, why couldn't I wait?
Damn.
Well, that's kind of what I told you. I was like, well, you're not going to be really using it until next year. You sure
I
you
just
don't want to just like hold off for a minute?
I wanted to be able to get up and to make sure I liked it before I had to send it back. I wanted to
be
get
more
one and be like,
comfortable
all
and-
right,
yeah.
I got this. This is comfortable. This is the saddle I'm using for the next couple of years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I looked a million different saddles and I bought
you really
stuff.
don't know until you sit in it for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I liked mine a lot. I still kind of do, but the beginning of the year, those sits, they really kind of dig into you a little bit.
Got that old hip pinch eliminator now.
Yeah.
You'll be all right.
Yeah, I still don't know. There's so much little gear, little tie this, tie that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's ultimately the one stick is like, then you can eliminate all these little knickknacks to make packing your gear easier, climbing this, taking that. It's like if you just have the rope and a stick, but it's like, man, I just invested all this money into this stuff. It's like I can't just abandon this right away, but I already have a feeling if I stay in shape and I stay into it that I'll probably have to go that route.
Yeah.
It is nice, but I would also always tell people to do what you're doing. Go the simple route first. Get your sticks, your platform.
See if
your
it's
saddle.
even a good, viable option
Yes.
for you first.
Start climbing. Start learning how to climb trees, as you mentioned earlier.
Picking trees.
You got to learn how to pick a tree, how to climb a tree, how to approach a tree, because all of that magnifies whenever you get into the one sticking. Like
I was 25 feet in the air and realized I was in a dead tree.
Oof.
And I was
yeah.
like, man, and it was
I
hot
did that
out.
the first
By the time
one I
climbed
climbed
down,
up. It had a freaking huge hole
and I was like,
right in the center
Pushing
where I
on it
wanted
was
to
like-
end up. I was like, oh.
Oh, no.
A bunch of coons come crawling out of that thing. or
Well, it
flying
was a small
squirrels.
tree, and it was a
Had
decent
sticks
sized
kick
hole.
out.
And I was like, this top's not looking too good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you start noticing all the broken branches
Yeah.
around you on the ground
It's
and
like,
like treetops. You're like, hold on, dude. And I'm like, I was so pumped because I was like, yeah, dude, I brought the 8er, all 4 sticks. This is the highest I've ever been. And it took me like forever. I'm pouring sweat, dude. I'm like, this is a dead tree. I was like, I can't. It was like a blown hunt because by
You
the
gotta
time I
reset.
got down, I was so sweaty and so exhausted. I'm like, I am not climbing another tree. I
Yeah.
like just getting out of here.
But yeah, you did it right. I mean, archery hunting is like, it's building blocks. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
like we've been doing it for so long. I mean, I was 13 when I started archery hunting. So it's like, you keep getting stuff every single year. And finally you just doubt into like, I don't really need anything, but I could probably use a rain suit or something like that. You know, you just keep building. Clothing's the most, the craziest thing.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, if you get a nice what are those bags called that we use, Charles, the ozone.
Yeah.
Get a nice ozone bag. I mean, you only need a couple good suits really for different seasons. And throw in that ozone and boom, you're ready to go for your next hunt.
Oh yeah, I was
that's
looking
a
at
game
those.
changer. I have so
I've
many.
been using a duffel bag and or Earth the wafers. You know what I mean? I just put those in there.
Ozone's
And,
a
Yeah.
different creature.
Yeah, ozone actually eliminates scent.
Yeah.
All scent.
Yeah.
Instead
that's
of just
cool.
masking
I did
it.
see some of them. Trophy Line has like a dry bag, or this is Ozone's the brand.
No,
or it's just an
Ozone is
ozone
a-
bag. Yeah,
yeah.
I think Trophy Line.
So I have an
made one.
ozone closet now, which is
Oh, I've
legit.
seen that. That seems
So you
crazy.
throw all your stuff in there, you set that sucker for 60 minutes, just let her run, and then
I want the closet
you're,
bad.
you're good. Yeah,
That's
the
cool.
closet's
I wanna
legit. I mean, that's
build
where I
one.
leave all my stuff, and every time I'm going to hunt, throw my stuff in there.
Yeah, because
I've
I've
been
been like
washing a lot
washing.
because I've been getting shit all over my.
I've been like
legs and
washing
whatever.
every time. and,
Yeah, it's a
like,
pain in the
washing,
ass, man.
spraying, like
Yeah.
cover scent.
Yeah, you're abusing
Spray-
your clothing and everything
That's
too.
it.
Like,
But
it's not
that's
gonna last
also
long.
I have I'm getting it's like Walmart or Royal King or Tightwad or whatever. It's like I haven't bought any gear, any good gear yet. You
That's
know
the
what I
thing. I
mean?
mean, you have time. Just wait
Oh,
for
yeah.
sales, grab some stuff as you go.
Because when the
and-
weather it was like both extremes. It was like when it was 75 degrees, I didn't have nothing breathable or light enough to
Mhm.
wear. I'm pouring sweat. And
Yeah.
then when the season got a little bit later, it's like I couldn't layer appropriately to be like comfortable and not too bulky. So it was
Yeah.
like, all right, it's like this stuff works for the middle. I have no problem with the gear that I have. But it's like I do see where the expensive stuff.
And that's another thing, though. I mean, archery is completely different gun. I
Yeah.
dress completely differently for gun.
Oh,
'cause,
absolutely.
You might be sitting for a little bit, but you're ended up walking. So, you got a layer, or like, I can take this off and then I can start walking. It's completely different.
Hunched
for the
down,
most
sitting on the
part.
ground is like way different. You know what I mean? Like I sat for 10 hours or whatever it was when it was opening day. It was like
Dude,
10
it was
degrees.
frigid opening
And
day.
I had like crosswind on me. You know what I mean?
Horrible.
So it's like, but I was bundled up. I had my coffee, everything I needed. I had a seat underneath
Yeah.
me.
You don't have to draw a bow back either.
Couple weeks later, I climbed 12 feet in the air, and it's like that wind's blowing underneath you. The
Yeah.
wind's hitting you. I was freezing within an hour,
Oh,
like
yeah.
unmanageably cold. And it was like, dude, I sat in the woods all day and rifle on the ground and had no issue. I mean, it was cold, but it was like, it wasn't like I got to get up and leave right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm usually like I'm like one of the only ones that could stay in the woods all day in my family. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, and not have to move around. I'm like kind of stubborn about it. It's like, the second
you
I
start
get up,
learning, like, oh, it's going to be 40 degrees. Or you start looking like, okay, it's going to be, by the time it gets dark and I'm getting down, it's going to be, 50 degrees. I need to bring this and that. This is what I'm going to wear. And you're pretty good. I mean, you're still going to mess up, obviously, but you start learning that too with the changing of seasons with archery, like a gun, it's usually cold as hell,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
not
you're
only
walking
that,
around and this and that.
But think about like how much of a temperature change you can get in archery season.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
exactly.
Like you
Oh,
can
yeah.
start the day in 65 and sunny and be sweating walking in with a t-shirt, and by the end of the night it's 42,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the wind picks up, and now you're freezing your balls off. Like,
Yeah, it's true. It
gets-
fluctuates a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Very
you're
much.
still going to mess up, but
Yeah.
you're going to get a better understanding of what you're going to be dealing with and what you're going to need.
And once you
all
find a
those little
comfortable system that that you like, you're just going to dial it in over and over and over again. The
Oh,
biggest
yeah.
thing I could say, if you want to be able to handle those colder weather and really not sweat your ass off, but still be comfortable and stay longer, even with the clothes that you have now, if you got yourself a good merino wool like
Yup.
base layer,
Mhm.
They're on
You're
sale
gonna be
right
money,
now.
dude.
Black Ovis, big sale right now. Black
Money,
Ovis, merino wool.
I do got a top. I need some merino wool bottoms.
Yeah.
So.
What'd you get for a top?
My brother got, well, I've had him for a while. I could get some new ones, but he's got some from the, he was in the Army, so he always gets Army issued
Yeah.
merino. Not anymore, but that's where like we got all our base layers, but they're not great. I got like the quarter zip merino wool,
Oh yeah.
and then I got just like a really light spandex type
Yeah.
bottoms, but I'll double those up. Or,
look at Black Ovis, dude. I'm serious.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've seen that.
They
looked
just
at 'em.
had a quarter zip 150 hoodie, which is a lightweight,
Look at Camo
for
Fire, too.
$55 on Camo Fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
For $55 last night, I was looking at it. I was going to buy it.
Yeah, the
for no
base
reason at
layer,
all,
I
'cause
keep
don't
looking
need
all
it.
the time. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, I got to start there.
100%.
Camo Fire might be bad for you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The problem
I
like
do
with
have a
Camo
problem.
Fires. Their freaking shipping is kind of insane.
That's why
usually.
you just kind of build it up and then you get
Staying
one
up
shipping
all
order.
Yeah.
night on
Yeah.
hang free. Like, what do I
Yeah.
need? You know, looking at all these, or on the classifieds on Facebook. It's like
Oh yeah.
hitting somebody up and it's sold. It's like I had to put my phone down for a while. She's like, dude, it's hunting season over. You bought enough stuff. Stop. Just don't even look.
Listen,
I'm like,
you're-
you don't understand. Like, I just bought these sticks and now somebody's
Yeah.
selling them here, and now they have the ones I actually wanted. Somebody's selling them, and I'm like, I gotta calm down.
You're running
Yeah,
into
man.
the problem that some of my other buddies that had gotten into it late in their life, in archery late in their life, is that you see people like us and you want to get to where we are
Mhm.
right now, and you don't realize with 20
Yeah.
years of collecting things to get
And
to
I
where we
know
are.
that, but it's like
You're
so
trying to do it in
hard.
20 days.
It's so
Like,
hard the way my brain works.
I understand
you know
it.
what I
I
mean?
get
It's like,
it. Like you're at a disadvantage for sure.
yeah.
But you gotta, you gotta dial it back and be like, all right, what is the necessities right now? What do I need right now? And I'm with Austin, and I did the same for myself. I was like, all right, I need merino wool. I'm gonna start with a base layer, and that's it. I
It's
just
a
want the
freaking
base
game
layer,
changer, dude.
and then go from there. Now I have an entire layering system that is so ridiculous that I filled up a page about this size. I filled up front and back with my inventory list that I took last night on every piece, and that's just you know what stuff.
Oh yeah.
You can
So-
say it.
No, I can't.
Yeah, you
And
can.
I do have one of my more favoritist jackets that I kept. I didn't give to that kid. If you want, I could maybe sacrifice it to you. if you
Well,
want.
What
I'm
size
gonna-
are you, first of
It's
all?
a scent lock. It's a
Depends,
2X,
large,
but it runs a
XL,
little small.
Depends.
I might have some shit for you.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't like to ask people for things or take stuff, but that's why I don't like
I'm
bringing
not
that up.
using
But
it, dude.
I offered.
yeah, I would. I mean, I am interested in whatever I could use because I like I said, she's killing me. I got little kids. You know, she doesn't work. She's like, you got to stop buying stuff, and I'm like, well, this is what I chose to do now, and I can't half-ass it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
you know, like,
$200,
I'm an
just
archery
doing
hunter,
it.
just relax. You know what I mean?
Have you seen
But
the...
you see me do this with a lot of other hobbies, so she's like, I know it's gonna phase out a little bit and you're gonna chill out, but it's like,
This
well, I'm
one'll
saying
stick.
the crazy obsessive part
You
where
killed
I'm
a
like,
buck the first year
Dude,
of
I-
the archery hunting.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think it's gonna phase out anytime.
screwed.
I told you were screwed.
Yeah,
I said,
can't
dude,
do
you're
it.
fucked.
Oh man,
You're so fucked. Like
I love it.
Your first ever archery kill, first ever saddle kill, first ever archery buck, like all of those things together. It took me like 3 years to kill a deer out of a saddle.
Yeah, dude.
Like
I
I killed
killed
a
one
deer.
first year,
I killed
but-
deer, but I wasn't in the saddle.
Yeah.
Like it was like I would go hunt a
tough.
ladder stand or a lock on or hunt from I killed deer from the ground all those years. And I'm like, I killed all these deer. I can't kill one out of my saddle.
Yeah, dude.
I still think it's a fluke. Like I went and found that arrow like 2 weeks later because I didn't even look for it. There was no blood, and I seen the deer go down.
Mhm.
So I'm like, and I didn't have like lighted nocks or nothing. So later I went back to find that arrow, and I'm like, dude, I thought he was in front of this stuff. Was he behind all this shit? Like, did I hit something and it just happened to ricochet and hit both of his lungs?
You
know what I
get
mean?
pass
Like,
through. Sometimes they cruise.
so in my head, because it just was so, everything happened so perfectly, I couldn't believe it.
And from
You know
the
what I
tree
mean?
too, you're picking spots.
You're
Yeah,
right, because I was
right.
way up there.
Yeah, when you're up there, you got a little openings.
That's
from the
it.
ground, you're like, holy
everything's covered.
fuck.
It doesn't look
Yeah, it's how to
real.
shoot through all this.
That's it. You know what I mean? You get to the ground, you're like, no. I'm like, well, hold on, where am I? Where's my stand at? Like, what tree did I climb?
Yes.
It's like nothing looks the same.
Yeah,
That's the other
without
thing.
lighted knocks, it's you get down there, you're like, where was I? What the hell even happened
Stupid
here?
Yeah.
I remember those days.
Quick
it was
question
tough.
on the lighted knocks. So I finally put the good ones on. And Joe told me nocturnals.
Yeah.
But so everything was fine. Shot in the yard, everything's working. Is it temperature? Because I didn't put any. They said they were the right size. They fit snug. I shot. Then I got out in the woods when it was a little colder, and I went to go knock one. It's like sliding around, and I was like paranoid. I didn't knock it because I'm like, I don't want to.
Sliding around on the string, or
It
sliding
seems
around
like it's
in
coming
the
out
arrow.
in the arrow. Like it's not as snug as it was. Like from the temperature
It's the right
change.
one for your arrow type.
It's an S. It says it's the right one. It was snug at home, but then once it was like out in the elements for a couple hours, it seemed like it was not snug anymore.
I don't know, but
was
I'll tell
paranoid.
you a trick. What I had to do with some of mine because I had to use some
Floss?
of those universal fits. No,
Oh.
even easier than that. Take like a Walmart bag, put the Walmart bag over the like tight over your arrow,
Mm-hmm.
so where it's super tight, and then stick your knock in,
Okay.
and then just cut it off. Like take it off, rip it off, cut it off, burn the little edges of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so snug at that point. It's
yeah, it's
hard
almost
to
like
get
a
off.
plastic.
Yeah,
I was gonna
sleeve
say just get a
for-
little bit of hot melt.
I was so pumped
You
when
could,
the
but
things
the
worked.
bag works so well.
I've
I
never
did
had
it
to
for
do
all
that.
of mine. It
Okay.
works so unbelievably well.
Interesting.
It's just sometimes you're trying to rip off little pieces of Walmart bags, so then you take the lighter and you like burn it the whole way around. But
anything
works.
that makes me not feel like I'm not gonna risk like my knock falling off or
yeah.
exploding
Yeah.
when I shoot it.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah.
So it's like if I felt uncomfortable at all, I'm like, I'm just gonna knock one of the solid ones. And
Yeah.
go about it. Lose an arrow. You know what I mean? My arrows aren't super expensive, but that's another thing. I already need new arrows, new broadheads.
Shit,
You know what I mean? It's like I only bought 6 to start, and I'm down to like 5, 4.5.
okay.
You know what I mean?
Camofire just had freaking killer deals on some arrows too. That site is awesome.
I wanted on my rest, kind of something on my rest, bro. It's like, so next year, I think I want to look into, I don't like the side dots on my sight. And I only put 2 there because I have trouble. Like once that thing's filled up, it's like real hard out. I really want to
Single
try
pin.
a single pin because I'm not like Joe. I don't want to go up and down, but like,
I don't go up and down.
Careful.
I,
Well,
don't-
you're
I
like-
don't ever
you-
move mine.
well,
though.
I'm saying you're like, oh, I go 4 inches up the back, that type of thing. I don't want to get into that. I like to know.
That's why you
Get a
got to watch
single
with the
pin and
single
dial
pin,
it,
though.
dude. Dial
Because
it.
If you're not dialing them,
or even they have the ones now that have 2 or 3
Yes.
dots on them.
Yeah,
They
And I'm
do.
like, that's what I'm like, because
that's a horse
I
of a
don't
different
like-
color.
I don't like shooting. I've only been shooting 20 to 30 yards. So it's like, I really only need 2 pins. You know what I mean? I need anything from 20 under, I know I'm going to nail. And then I need a 30 pin.
Honestly, with that bow, from 30 and in, you almost got 1 pin.
It
Yeah,
is, dude.
yeah.
It's almost
It's
dead
almost
on.
1 pin.
That thing, I move it around. And I'm almost like that same pin is good
I
all
use
the
a
way up.
single pin. I mean, I understand where to aim it just over time of using a single pin for so long. And I don't have to move it. I got the adjustable just in the case I hunted out west or something where I would need to shoot a little bit further or whatever. Or if I hit a deer in the gut and it walks off and it gets to like 60, 70 yards where I'm like, I know this deer's going to die, but I want it to die quicker.
Get
and
a
I want
blader.
some blood. So I did get the slider, but I haven't slid it yet. I haven't really even set it up too great yet, but I've been shooting single pin my whole life, and it's like, this is where you have to aim here for this range. And then honestly, you think it's more to think about. It's a lot less to think about, honestly, because you know exactly where to aim
Yeah, I don't
at
know.
all the ranges. You're not like, am I using the right pin right now? Or this pin's this one, this
My
one's that
whole
one.
thing with that, though.
I tried the 5 pin, and it was like,
No,
oh
5
my
pins
It's
is
too
insane,
much.
dude.
It's
That's
too much going
It
on.
is, but I mean, only a few of them were really in play.
Yeah, I don't know
And
why
it
I
was just-
switched away from the
it
one
really
pin,
blew your
dude. Like
brain.
the single pin is because deer body sizes vary.
They do.
And when you're thinking about it, you shoot all year long on one size target in your backyard, and you, like Joe said, you're figuring out, okay, that's back, top of the back. I started doing that with single pin and then shooting over the back of little tiny deer or under little deer. And I'm like, oh, that's because, well, I didn't have a slider back then. It was just a fixed single pin,
I
you know?
understand.
It was just fixed. And I'm like, oh, when I shoot at home, this freaking giant deer thing that we shoot with an unrealistic chest, it's like a buck. It would be a mature buck chest. And then I see this little 40-pound doe I want to shoot at 40 yards. And I aim
I
the
don't know.
same.
I've never
and I'm
had that
shooting over
problem,
its-
but-
I did. So I was like, I got to have multiple pins.
Yeah.
So I know it's 40 yards. Okay, I have a 40-yard pin. I'm going to put that thing right where I want to shoot, and I'm going to dial in, and I'm going to blast it. It's helped me astronomically.
You know what you do, buddy? You get into the tree where the deer comes and you draw back and every single pin is on the deer.
On the deer. I love that. I love that. Mine this year. I shot at what, 8 yards? That buck I shot, 8 yards. It's insane. So I get it. I love that. But I'm with Cody.
I'm just joking.
I want the CBE
because it all happens
3-pin
so
single
fast.
stack
Like,
on a
It always
vertical.
happens fast, dude.
Yeah.
like I said, like if one little thing I messed up, or you know what I mean, that deer would have been past that window, and I would have never got a shot.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like I didn't even have time to think. It's like 30 yards. I put that dot on him. He stopped for a second. I let go, and
I love
but
it.
it's like that happened with 2 doe before there, and it was like I didn't even have my bowstring on my nose. Like I only had like half drawn and let go, shot it into the ground. You know what I mean? I'm like, how do I do this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even dialing, dude. When you see that deer coming, you know you're going to pick your spot that you're going to draw.
That's true.
You can range, you can dial. It only takes
But
a
I
second.
hear all these guys talk about, watching deer for 80 yards coming in. It's like, I don't know
hate that.
where I'm hunting, but it's like, I'll see deer. And it's like, unless I'm just in thick areas where I'm like just hunting like the opening that they cross, you know what I mean? Because I will hear deer. It's like, I won't see deer till they're like on me and I have to shoot in like 15 seconds or I'm going to miss this deer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's no prep time other than I hear a deer. Where's he at? Oh man. Okay. Here they come. Now here's my window. It's like, I don't have no time. Like, oh, I'm watching that deer. That's a shooter. In rifle, that happened. I watched a
set
deer
up
for
totally different.
an hour
Yeah.
before like I shot these deer. You know what I mean? But in archery, I don't know if it's up in a tree or I'm just in a thick area where I'm hunting.
Probably just in
Yeah.
a thick area. And keep that philosophy because obviously it's working.
It is.
Well, I
working.
do. That's the thing. There's just like, just
Like,
something about this
slowing
area.
things
I got
down,
lucky
slowing
picking
things
it.
down and kind of like going, okay, he's going to be here. Okay, he's inside this range. This is where I got to aim. Or like, oh, he's going to be outside of that range. I might as well hit him with my rangefinder. Or this is my trail. I know that range for sure, which I kind of hate that one. But because
what I
like
do. That's all
every
it is.
time you do that, you end up freaking missing. You're like, damn, he was
not
like
on that trail. Yeah.
5 yards back from there. And
Well, that's the
but,
problem
yeah.
too. You're looking at their chest sometimes, and where their chest is, thinking, "Oh, they're on that trail behind them." No, their feet are on the trail in front at 20, and their
Yeah.
chest is lined up at 25 on that trail, and it's like, "Damn it, you got me."
Mm.
So I do what Cody. Good for you to do that. Like pre-range a lot
Like
of spots.
soon as I
Yep.
get to my stand,
Yeah.
I start looking around and I'm like, ping this tree, ping this tree,
Mhm.
ping this tree, and it's like, all right,
And like in the
Try
main
to
trails,
remember
like,
that in
okay,
the
that
moment.
trail's
Yeah.
where they're coming through on the camera. Or that trail's
Yeah, that's what I
beating to
mean.
hell, and I can see
Right.
it. That's probably where they're going to come through.
Yeah.
and if they
hit those
happen
main
to come
trails-
over here,
Especially like where you can actually, I mean, obviously in your openings, you're going to hit it, but you're going to hit it like, okay, this is where he's going to come through. This is where I'm going to pull back. This is where, like start drawing out these circumstances, what's
Mhm.
what's going to happen and how you're going to do it. That helps
He's
a
gonna
lot
step
too.
behind that tree.
Exactly. This
Draw.
is when I pull back.
dude,
Yep.
that's
Especially when you're like in tight areas, like you're saying, they're going to be right on top of
they've
me.
come in a different
So-
direction every time that I've sat. in
When
that
he comes
tree.
through here, once his head gets behind there, I got to pull back, or else I'm screwed. He's gonna be wide open. Play out these different scenarios and understand what you're gonna do. Kind of like how you noticed this is a weak part of mine. I need to practice with this. Almost practice in your head. This is what I have to do if this deer comes down this trail. this is what I have to do if this deer comes down this
and
trail.
attack. Visualize and attack.
Visualize an attack.
Listen,
I mean,
do
it's
that.
helped. I can't tell you how many times
you're
where
right.
deer have done the exact same thing that I thought they were going to
you're
do
right.
for the
It's
last
happening.
2 hours. I'm like, they're going to
It's
come down
weird.
this trail, and I got to do this and this.
It happens.
And then when it happens, like you said, when you're doing that thing like butter, the same thing. You know, it comes down there, you draw back when he gets behind this tree, and then you got him right there. And
Yeah. I will give you some advice that I think is very useful as well. When you're range finding, what I like to do first when I first get in a tree is, and I always kind of draw half circles around me. So I know, like, this is my 20-yard circle. My pins are 25, 35, 45. So I'll draw those, and I'll guess in my head before I hit them with the range finder.
yeah.
So I'll start to guess. Yeah,
that's
I'll
good.
start to guess. I'm like, I bet you that's 20. Boom, I'll hit it. 22. Okay, I'm close. So then you're getting an idea for it without always needing the rangefinder. That way, in the heat of the moment, if one comes in and you forget, you know, was that 20? Was that 30? You kind of can figure that out on your own because you're starting to realize. And it's funny with the terrain. Sometimes if you're up higher on one area and something's lower, that shit looks
It
way
shoots
farther away.
totally different too.
Yeah,
It's
and
crazy.
it's like, wait a second, that looks like it's 20 yards and it's actually 30. Or, you know, sometimes for whatever reason, for me, like, I don't know if it's my right or my
it
left,
looks way
whatever it is.
farther.
Yeah, like to my right looks like the deer's farther than it really
That's
is, but to my
18
left,
yards. You're like,
it looks so much closer.
reclicking. You're
Yeah.
like, there's no way.
sometimes, I mean,
it's
I'd rather
weird,
hit them with the rangefinder if I'm not absolutely certain
Yeah, for sure.
where they're at. I'd rather hit them with a rangefinder than win that deer.
Yeah,
you
And
know?
if you can do that, it's always best. And that's what I do a lot of times too. Like, I've range found 100,000 times. I've guessed, I've looked. I know my ranges, but if I see a deer coming in, first thing I do is I grab my rangefinder, I start hitting just to, okay, that's that.
If you got
that's
time,
that.
just
This is
That's
where
that.
he's going. This is where he's going to be
That's-
when I have
yeah.
a shot.
This
And
area
you start
is just-
hitting where he's going to be, and at least you're a yard or so
Yeah.
off. You know,
You're not going to always hunt that one area.
No,
That's
but
what
I'm saying you're
but-
right. That's the only reason it worked, because it's like there's
Yeah.
only a couple spots that I could
Yeah.
even shoot a deer.
Yeah.
So I was like,
So you're set.
Yeah,
right? You
this
don't have to worry
is-
about it.
and I'm like, okay, I think that's 30. I'm just aiming a little high with my 30 pin, and I hit him.
Yeah.
But yes, hunting in different areas. I don't know. I like this little area. I hope nobody
That's
catches
fun.
on. I saw these pheasant hunters come out when I was dragging that deer out, and they're like, "Oh, what's going on? Look at that!"
You made the
'Cause
cardinal
day-
sin. Don't let anyone see
The
you.
day before, some guy saw me go in. He's like, "There's a monster in there." He's like,
Mm.
"I seen this buck." I said, "Yeah, man, I've been hunting them for 2 weeks." So it's like,
You're
he's
making
like,
all
"Where?"
the
He's like, "Where are
mistakes.
you going?" I was like, "Oh, I'm in there." That way. He's like, "On the trail to the left over there." I was like, "No,
3
no, no."
miles.
He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm like, I
I
don't
got
want
them
to
all
tell
in my trail
nobody.
camera 3 miles back to the right.
Yeah, like a couple people saw me, but it's like I said, nobody wants to go in this
it's
area because it's thick, and it seems like, why would they hunt right off? Like, I'm not far in.
overlooked spots can.
It's
really,
over the far.
yeah.
You think I even thought that I had to go way in. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
my plan got screwed up, and I'm like, well, this is all new. Nobody knows. I want to go in, but I want to stay close enough to where I'm comfortable getting out of here by myself or with a deer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just happened to be like a little, like I said, a lot of times deer were around there, and I couldn't see them. I couldn't shoot them. Like, I'm seeing sign. I feel like they're circling me. You know what I mean? Or I'm just missing them. So it just happened to be, I had to spend a lot of time in them woods. Like, if I just hunted one day a week, I probably would never shot a deer. But like, just going there over and over again to the same spot, eventually, like I was getting 2-3 deer at
can be
night
bad,
on my
but
camera.
it
You know what I
can.
mean? Like,
Yeah, it can be good and bad. And
I had to
here's-
stay there for a
Yeah.
long time to land that deer.
Yeah.
You know?
It's good,
the reason-
good learning experience.
It
doing
is.
that.
It is.
Yeah.
It's good to break down an area, but also you're putting a lot of, every time you go in there, you're leaving
Mhm.
behind a footprint, right? You're leaving behind the fact that you were there. You had a human presence in that area. And the more you hunt an area, the more you put a presence in there, the more those deer learn from it. And if you're in that one spot where you can shoot 30 yards, you're going to start seeing a bunch of deer at just 40 or
Mhm.
50
Yeah.
or 60 right out of range. And why I tell you this is because it is like the gun hunter motto, like, dude, always like, I'm going to hunt my good spots that I have good, year after year. experience with because these spots are always good. And yeah, gun season, that works really well. Archery, I think a lot of people find out that if you go to the same spots over and over and over again, year after year after year, some people have that money spot works every year. I get that. But at some point, it's going to dry out. You got to stop like, hey, I shot, and for you, I shot that really nice buck here. Next year, you might hunt that spot and not see any deer because something changed.
Yep.
Either these trees stopped dropping acorns or somebody cleared this area out. Something
Or somebody's
changed.
hunting there.
Or someone else is hunting there.
And you're
because they saw
dragging
you
your own
drag a
scent
deer
in
out.
every single time you go in there. Like you said, the footprint. Every
The
time you
hiking
go in
trail
there,
is
you're
why I
dragging
picked
a
that
scent
spot, though.
in there. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
you
that
mentioned
does
that,
help.
Yeah.
It definitely helps your cause. Don't get me wrong.
No,
I
Because
hunted
people-
by camps,
trust
and
me.
honestly, I could overhunt a spot by a camp, and it doesn't get overhunted
I
because
question-
there is human scent there, and
Yeah.
it definitely does help.
Deer get
for
used
sure.
to it for
Yeah.
sure.
The
But
best piece of advice I can give you, though, if you go into a new spot like you did this year, if you see deer come from a certain direction, next time don't hunt that tree. Keep them guessing. Move that direction. Hunt a
20
different
yards.
tree.
It could be 10
Yeah.
I
yards.
rarely hunt the same tree over and over again, unless it's a really, really good hunt. Dude, even if I just shift 40 yards,
I moved around every
Do that.
single time
Yeah.
for weeks. 30 yards, 40 yards, 50
Yeah.
yards, 60 yards. And then I did land in a tree that I was like, I started getting action, and it was like 3 hunts in a row. I hunted the same tree.
you can
And I
walk them
landed,
right into their beds.
But
dude.
every time I went somewhere, it's like they came somewhere else. And then I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm going to move this way. And so I was trying all those
Yeah.
things,
Oh, yeah.
but it's like,
But you weren't
I
hunting
don't know.
consistently enough to do it day after
Yes,
day. either.
exactly,
So you're
yeah.
chasing your tail. You're like,
I was,
"All right,
yeah.
last time they were over here.
Yeah,
But
it might be a week later,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah.
I have
Dude,
no idea.
in archery season, every single week, everything
It's a
changes
pattern.
so drastically. It's not even funny. Like shit
I
changes.
mean, Charles
So
and I
exciting.
probably
so
had
insane.
over 10 cameras on this property, and just seeing the bucks shift from this area to that area
It's
to
crazy.
this area. I
To
was chasing my
disappearing.
tail all year because I'm just like, okay, now he's on the whole other side of the freaking property, and that's his home now. I'm over here, and then he's on the whole other side, and he's just it's crazy what these deer
Yeah.
do. But
it's frustrating. It's exciting. It's fucking mind-boggling, dude. But
Mm.
that's how you get that obsession
Yeah,
going.
It is.
You should get your son into archery hunting.
Yeah.
if you can.
I love to. I'm trying. He just started driving a year ago. He's got a job. He's got a girlfriend he's obsessed about. And it's
Yeah.
like, I've been there. I don't even really see him.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so getting him out in the woods once a year, a couple times, it's like good enough. I can get him to do anything with me. And it's one of those things I got to let him catch it for himself. You know, he doesn't understand it. He don't eat it. He doesn't. He's like, this year I tried to get him out, and he's like, I shot a deer last year. It's like, basically he just wanted to say, hey, Dad, see, I can do it. I shot a
Yeah.
buck. What more do you want from me? So I'm like, I get it, dude. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, the fact that you still come out, you spend time in the woods, you'll get there eventually. If it's something that you spark an interest for. I mean, I pushed everything, baseball, this, that, nothing he got a passion for, and he got a passion for golf. And I like golf, and I kind of wasn't sure if it mattered to golf a lot, and now he's into it. So we have that. And it's like, I'm just going to wait for something else to come around. Anything that I could get that we could spend time together.
sometimes that hunting bug comes a little late. I mean,
It
I know
does.
our
It
one
does.
brother, John, I mean, he was into it when he was younger, but he was never like crazy like we were. But, you know, now he's like,
Now he's more into it.
constant.
For
Yeah, he's
sure,
constant for sure.
I mean, I need
Definitely.
a reason to buy a new bow eventually. So
You got those
hand
cracks
one
in
down.
that limb. Be careful.
Yeah, you're right. I'm like, oh, listen, I was willing when they said like we'll get new limbs, and listen, I went there. If he told me, I was willing to like pull the credit card out and buy it. I was not saying that my season was over. It's like
Yeah.
I would never tell my wife that, but I was ready to buy like this. And the dude wasn't. I guess it was just the time of the season that like he didn't even want to sell anything because I was like, dude, you could have told me this was fucked. Like I would have bought a $1,400 bow right now. You know what I mean? Like he's like, well, I'm just not that guy. I'm not going to do that to you. If you want to buy one, like we could do it right now. You know what I mean? But he's like, I wouldn't. He's like,
That's
I
a
would.
good dude.
And I was like,
Yeah,
dude,
that's a
that's
good
what
dude.
Yeah.
I was like, man, let me buy something. You know what I mean? I think I bought some Reapers. that he Pro Reapers or something that he suggested, and they had him there. I was like, I gotta buy something from this dude because he didn't try to sell me nothing, and that's what I shot my deer with. But I've been wanting to try. What do you guys use? What do you guys use? Because I wanted to use new. Oh, those. Okay, I keep hearing you guys say that. That's one of your go-tos. Huh?
Do you remember Freddy Krueger?
Oh,
Have you ever seen all the blood in the movie?
Oh man,
you want to see Freddy Krueger blood in the fall?
That's what I'm talking about. Listen, I did look those up. I've been wanting to buy.
They're nasty, dude.
They're very
Some
nice.
of them.
Nasty, yeah.
It improves on a lot of things.
Because I have like
Penetration
3
being one of them.
different broadheads in my quiver right now. You know what I mean?
You got the medley.
Yeah, a little bit of
medley.
each.
You
It's
know,
like,
medley.
wow, I'll get one of these, one of those.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
I'm just messing with you. Whatever works for you.
Like I
use it.
said,
Yeah.
I had that just happened to be the one that I knocked that
Yeah.
day. You know what I mean? I had 3 different, and I had
Reaper's a good broadhead.
Grim
for
Reaper's a
sure.
great
It's good
broadhead.
I had
Killed a
like
pile of
mega
deer.
meats. I had some
Mega meat's
sort
a
of
good
fixed
one, too.
blade in there. I
Yeah.
had fixed blades.
I'd be careful with the fixed blade.
I
They're going
gotta
to shoot
tune
a
'em.
little different.
I didn't
Yeah,
like
tune
them.
'em.
Yeah, they're going to shoot a little different. You
Yeah.
got to tune your bow to
Yeah.
the fixed blade. That's
Yeah.
That's what's nice about the VIP is they're a hybrid. They're a cut on contact, but they're technically an expandable broadhead. So
Got like a little bleeder or something.
oh yeah, there's
Okay.
there's the combat veteran is a 2-blade with 2 bleeder blades, and then you have the commander, which is a 3-blade, basically 3-blade broadhead. It
Oh,
looks like
beautiful.
a fixed blade, but when it hits, it actually expands as
See,
well.
I like that.
Yeah, it's nice because you're getting the penetration, you're getting the pass through penetration, you're getting a lot
Oh
more,
yeah, I've seen them.
and you're
Yeah.
not losing the opening of a broadhead.
That's
all
what
that,
it's like closed.
yeah, everything.
They're
you know.
gnarly, dude.
Yeah, I love it.
Gnarly.
But
Yeah, I'm not set on anything. You know what I
You
mean?
shouldn't be.
I'm not. It's
You
like
should be 100% open-minded right now.
I'm like, but the other thing that sucks, it's like there's too much stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like one of
Yeah.
those things. I'm like, just let me close my eyes and put something in front of me and tell me that's all there is. And I'll like learn to use that
Yeah.
to the best of
Yeah.
my ability.
good
But
luck.
when you have all this stuff, it's like, man,
You're coming into this in a time where shit is so readily available
Oh,
from
yeah.
so many people.
Well,
where
it's crazy.
when we first started doing it, there was like 2 companies
You
making
didn't
a
have a
saddle.
lot. Yeah.
Maybe 1. There was
I think
tethered
with bows
and that
too.
was
I mean,
it.
like a couple
That's it.
years with a bow, it's 100 years. You know,
Yeah.
it's just the technology is just getting so
insane.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't buy a new bow for 10 years,
Me
and
either.
that new bow was night and day. Like,
It's unreal.
just the technology with bows alone, let alone everything else, is just unreal.
Yeah, you'll be all right. I mean, you're gonna get there. There's a lot. You're
Take
gonna
your
be
time.
fine with the bow
Yeah.
you have. You're gonna be fine with a lot of things that you have. You can just and I did it. I did the same thing you did. I've been through 4 or 5 saddles at this point. You know, in different sticks, and now I'm on a 1 stick, and you know, you just kind of start
Put the
to
blinders
upgrade.
on.
Yeah.
Just put the blinders on.
Cruise
settle
control
in.
for a minute.
Because
Like
at
he
this
said,
point,
you start working on your priorities.
yeah, you have
Start
you
working
have
on
what
this,
you
start
need
working
to
on
climb a
that.
tree and hunt. Now what can I improve on? I can improve on
Yeah.
my clothing,
comforts
my
and
base
what I would do.
layers. I can improve on whatever. You know what I mean? Let's put the focus towards that now that you have the other stuff taken care
a
of.
quiver. I pulled my
Yeah.
bow up a couple times and bumped a tree, and my quiver dropped after I was all settled in. I had
Yeah.
to climb down to get my arrows.
Maybe a hook.
That's what I switched to. I switched to a hook.
I used to make little like lists,
But I
like,
switched to
oh
a
shit,
little,
this would be really nice if
gavel.
I had this, and I'd make a list and I'd make sure I had it for the next year. you know?
What I did here, I took a little note here because we talked about this for the last 2 years and we haven't done it yet. I want to get a saddle day scheduled. And I know we've been literally talking about this for a couple years now, and we haven't done it. So it'd be really nice to schedule this saddle day. We got some buddies that have been saddle hunting for a long time too.
Yep.
They do all kinds of crazy shit. Dougie Brown is an absolute phenom about this
Ooh,
stuff. Doug is insane. You wouldn't know it, but Doug is
Yeah,
insane.
when you
dude.
said mentioned his name before, I was like, Doug?
Doug is
Okay.
insane about like one
I
sticking.
knew I loved that
and
dude.
He's been doing all this shit for years. He's an insane human being, and he's the one that really wants to do this, and we just haven't been able to find a good date for it.
Yeah, we
So
should do that.
we're gonna do it. And
When you
wrote
guys
it
mentioned
down.
that, it was like, yeah, I'm like, I don't even have a good tree in my yard. It's like half of my hunts this year were just figuring out my gear.
Mhm.
Come
You know
over
what I
here,
mean?
dude.
It's
I'll
like,
spend the day with you.
Joe
We'll go
gave
up
me
in
live
one
in
backyard.
2B though, right?
Yeah, I have. It's like I should just go into the woods.
You got to go in that early season. That's what we do. Go in
Yeah.
that early season and break all that rust off. On
Work
some
out
deer
the
down in
kinks, dude.
2B. Like, who cares,
Uh-huh.
I'm going there tomorrow. That's what we're doing. A public land in 2B just because it's
Yeah.
extended season and you get to figure stuff out and try new things and do whatever. But that's a great way to just break the rust off. And then when you get into your good spots that you want to hunt for the year, you're ready to go.
Yeah. Yep.
That gives you time too to really find out what you can get away with. If you get on a deer down there, maybe do a couple of things that you wouldn't normally do in your normal stands, like Charles is saying.
Yeah.
Draw a little bit sooner.
Yeah. Try to hold a draw or something.
See if you can hold a draw. See, I mean that's the whole thing. If you want to climb a crazy tree, climb a crazy tree.
That's
You
the
just
other
gotta
thing.
learn.
I'm always like,
Yeah.
oh, this is my only hunt. I don't want to waste it. I need to find a perfect tree. I need to find, you know what I mean? And it's never that. That never works out.
Yeah.
Listen,
Like-
I shot my buck 8 feet off the ground at 8 yards. Nothing's the same across the board, dude. You don't have to be 25 feet in the air.
Mm-mm.
You don't
Hunt
got
the
to be
cover.
30 feet in the air. You got to be in the right spot in the right tree at the right time, and you have to know how to hunt that tree. I was only 8 feet in the air because that's where my cover was. Joe knows because me and him picked that tree out. It was a jungle, but if you got above it, you were completely in the wide open. But if you were low, they couldn't see you.
Oh, that's
It was awesome. I was basically hiding within. Maybe it was just all those freaking
What
spotted
was the
lantern
tree you
flies.
guys were climbed the same tree like when Joe shot that doe the day that
Charles
I shot
was
my buck?
buried into a
He was
freaking
underneath you?
limb.
You were
I was
underneath him?
underneath him.
That's
Double
cool.
set, dude.
I
Yeah.
buried myself because I wasn't shooting anything. I literally buried
Don't
myself
tell my
into
old
another
lady
tree.
this. She'd be
all
like,
the,
"Oh,
all
we'll
the,
both
all
be
the
saddle
leaves are
hunt
gone. He
on
was
the same
buried into a
tree."
limb, and he did get picked off later
She gonna
on.
listen to this?
Yeah, but you could have killed that deer 100 times.
Doe
before
number 2 came through, and he's like, "You're gonna shoot this deer?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't want
I was
to."
like, shoot this deer, shoot it.
I was just like,
I heard about the awful
After
drag, dude.
50
dude, all year I've been like just laying off for like a buck. I have like a more doe than probably ever. in
Actually,
my
I told
life.
Austin I got a picture of a real nice one. Well, I don't know what deer it is, but it seems like a pretty nice buck back in there the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before
He's
we
a
cut
nice
this off, though, I do have to find out. I gotta see a picture of this buck.
Oh,
I
yeah.
meant to
I
say
gotta see a
was gonna-
picture of it.
I reached in my pocket 6 times to show you the picture. I don't have my phone.
Yeah, it's okay.
And I'm like, I meant to tell him that.
I'm
or
just
ask him
excited.
show
I
you
want
that
to. I
picture.
want to see this bad boy,
It's a really nice buck, dude. Like a freaking phenomenal deer.
especially
I
for a
was-
first buck and
Yeah.
with a bow, dude.
Yeah, when
really
he showed us
excited.
that, and we were in
Public
the
land.
tree together. Like we were already on the high because Joe just shot one, but like it went to the next level.
Dude.
He sends us this, and I'm like, dude, fuck yeah.
I was like,
I'm-
what?
I'm like whisper screaming up to Joe. I was like, "Did you see Cody shot a nice one?"
That's a freaking tremendous first buck, dude, with a bow.
I couldn't believe it. And then I got
Unreal.
there's my one kid and like walk around in a wrestling singlet
yeah, dude.
in the back of the truck.
Oh,
And I
man.
gotta show this one. This is my son came to
What'd you end up
came to
doing
my
with that
rescue.
deer?
I'm
Yeah,
still waiting.
man.
I so Jens has my deer from last year,
Okay.
and I reached out to him and I didn't really get a response. So I'm assuming I know you guys say you got deer too. So I ended up getting it in with the Beaver County guys. Like everybody I know that archery hunts, I got another guy who's like 10 minutes from my house, and I can't remember his name, but I guess somebody from the area that was pretty big trained him and then retired, and now he only does like 25 deer a year, and he cuts off at like 20 and saves his like buddies. You know what I mean? So I just happened to get my deer early enough and get his number, and I just started dropping some names, and he was like, "Yeah, bring him over." So he told me by March I'd have it back.
Cool.
He's like, so I'll probably have this year's deer back before last year's, but I'm okay with that. I'd love to see him, but yeah, I'm like, I gotta get this one mounted too. You know what I mean? I could. My brothers and them were. I was like, I'm not getting this. They're like, if you don't. Last year, they're like, nobody's ever shot a buck like this in our families. Like, if you don't get that mounted, it's like we're mounting that deer. I was like, all right. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to top this. And then I shot this thing. I'm like, I guess I'm getting this one mounted too. You know what I mean? I'm going to start a whole freaking team of them. You know?
That's awesome.
We're very expensive. Sorry.
It's like, man, but yeah, they're two different deer. They're like two completely different deer, but I'm excited to see them like side by side. This one, my dad's like, that one's not as nice as last year's, and I'm like, this was our haul the year after my pap died.
That's a good haul, dude.
But like that's last year's 8-point.
Really good buck.
He's like,
Yeah, but you shot it with a gun.
it didn't count. Yeah, it wasn't the same. It
Dude,
was
the
like
archery
pretty exciting.
buck, and
Like he's tall and wide. Like
he's a great deer. I'm not.
like I
I'm
can't wait
just
to
fucking
see
with you,
him.
but,
I haven't
like,
seen him in. It's like I forget what he looks like.
Yeah, I know. I got one of my mounts back one time. I was like, "You sure
What?
this
You
is my
sure
deer?"
I shot that
I had to
deer?
go back and look at my pictures. I'm like, I don't remember the brow time looking like that. I'm like, oh yeah, that is.
Oh
him.
yeah.
But that
Shit,
got me hooked.
I shot
like
that.
I shot doe my entire life because it's like we don't scout, we spread out, and
You gun
rifle
hunt.
season they move around. You shoot a doe, you know you eat the meat all year, and that's that. You know what I mean? And then I got that deer. We all shot buck last year. I was like, oh, this is
Hell yeah.
It was like the first time my dad started going out archery. He went out, spent more time in the woods. You know what I mean? We were actually scouted, and we picked some good spots, and we all ended up getting deer even in rifle. But I'm like, oh, if archery is even more lucrative, and it's like if you put the time in, it's like I just showed them another thing. It's like by myself, I went out, picked an area, scouted, spent some time, and landed a buck. It's like,
It's so
now
much
we're
more
all
intimate,
everybody's
dude.
into it now. My whole
Yeah.
family's like, oh man, they get mad. They're like, I want to shoot a buck, but you show up one day a year, sit all day, and
Yeah.
it's like get mad that you didn't shoot a deer. It's like, dude, like sometimes that happens for
Yep.
me or for somebody else, but it's like not the plan. If
Yeah.
you want
I
to
sold
shoot
a buddy
deer,
a bow, and he hunted his property his whole life, and he maybe saw a big buck run past him at 100 miles per hour here and there per year, in gun. I sell him my bow, and he starts hunting his property during archery season, and the first year he had a shot at a monster. It's night and day. It's a completely different animal.
I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm going to assume that this archery buck means a lot more to you.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's personal. I mean, not just like hard work, but also you were up close and personal. It's
Listen,
just like you.
Oh yeah, how was
last
your heart
year,
after
my
you shot
my
that?
dad.
gained a-
Listen,
you
nothing.
gained a-
So this was the day after 2 days after I thought I had a heart attack,
Yeah.
and then everybody's like, "What are you? How's your heart? Are you fine?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm not even thinking about that." It's like everything's relieved now. I'm like, this. I think this was the problem.
Archery season cured you, dude.
It was. I did
You're
have some
fixed.
weird flutters. Like I probably should go to the doctor, but like nothing like that. But last year, my dad, my son, and me all got bucks, and my son's first deer ever was a little 8-point last year. So like that was meaningful. Just that like my dad's
Of
dad
course,
died
yeah.
that year, that summer, and then we all got buck. It was like really cool. But the time I put in and the reward of that archery buck,
the relationship too. I mean, you got pictures of this
Nothing.
deer, and you
That
were
was the
actually like,
coolest
targeting this deer.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
Not
was
just like,
the
oh,
deer.
somebody kicked this out of the brush
No.
over there, and it ran past me,
that was the
and I
deer.
smoked him as he's running 50
Yeah.
yards away.
Nope. No,
Yeah,
this was the
it's
one I knew was in the
completely different.
woods. I knew it was the nicest deer
He
in
keeps
that
sending me
area.
pictures of this deer. Like, I don't know how nice he is. I'm like,
It's hard to
Pretty
tell.
nice
I
buck.
was like,
I had,
dude, I do. Where are you
I
at
have
again?
finally right before I shot the deer, I finally got a clear photo. And I was like, oh yeah, he's nice because
Very
I
nice.
he was further away and fuzzy. I'm like, I could tell it's a mature buck, but I can't really get good photos of him. You know what I mean? And then I got one like a couple days before that. I was like, oh my god. But I thought that was it. I was unsure about 2 deer the whole time, which one was which, or if they were the same deer. And after I shot this one, it was small 6, small 8, a couple other buck running around, and then this other big 8.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, there's another one.
There's another
And he's been alive all season. I took my cameras down when it was getting really cold. So I'm hoping he survives. And then I know there's a couple other buck in there if I want to hunt there next year.
It'd be real nice.
But either way, I'm pumped. If I don't get a buck next year or whatever it is, it's like,
Don't let it discourage you.
no.
dude.
Now
Yeah.
that I know that's, now I'm like, oh, I want to get one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't set unrealistic
Yes.
standards because you
Like
you
Charles
did it.
guy is like, dude, you're fucking. I said something
But
stupid like, oh,
sometimes
this
having-
wasn't that hard. You know what I mean? He's like, don't say shit like that. You're not allowed to say. I was like, you're right. I'm totally blessed, and it was luck and everything. But I'm like, now that I know that I could do this, if I put some effort in, it's like, if it doesn't happen, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, at the end of the day, archery season, no matter what, you put the effort and time in, you're still going to get more opportunity at shooting a deer
Yes.
like this than you are with a gun for 2 weeks. Like, it's just...
we've sat for 2 weeks in rifle and 10 people didn't see one deer.
I've
It's
put
like,
my
we
scope
can't have that.
on
It's
a
like,
good buck that I would shoot once in my entire life. I've put my scope on a really good
yeah,
buck.
that was last
Once.
year, the only time in my whole life.
I mean, like I said, don't set an
And then
unrealistic standard, but honestly, I've had an unrealistic standard for a while now, and it kind of helps. It helps drive you. You know, like having that unrealistic standard of I have to kill a buck this year. It drives you to do the right things, to put in the work, and to get out there more often, to where you actually do get more opportunity having that standard of this is what happens every year. So you kind of set yourself up for success, just having that mindset of this is what I have to do every year. And it comes with a lot of anxiety. It comes with a lot of heart flutters, but you're setting yourself up for success, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, to an extent, but also what you're doing is you're building on a lot of experience seeing what deer do in their natural environment, because you're not shooting every deer that walks past you. You're looking at deer, like Joe's saying, a smaller buck might walk by, and you're not even getting excited because you know you don't want to shoot that deer, but you can watch a deer and study that deer. Okay, when he comes here, is he going to bust me here? Is he going to bust me there? What's he doing? How's he going to react? Oh, this is what he looks like through my shooting lane. I can get a visual if another deer does the same thing and shoot him. You know, you learn a lot by watching other live deer do deer things. You get that in archery. You don't get that in deer season. You really don't.
I'm telling you, in that like month
Gun season,
period, it's just like, I'm like, all the stuff that I thought I knew, it's like, you know what I mean? I'm like,
hit the reset
yeah,
button.
it was a whole, I still love, I'm still going to do the, show up and spread guys out. And maybe I need to, now I can be less selfish during rifle season. If my other family members don't archery hunt, and this year they were kind of mad because I still shot 2 doe. You know what I mean? They're like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, we sat in the freezing cold. So I get it. At the time, I didn't register that, like, I didn't need to be, like, trying to get myself deer. I should have been helping the guys out. That my brother that came home from Poland to hunt with us that ain't gonna hunt for another year or so, that like I should have maybe been trying a little bit more effort. And that's kind of what my dad like winked at me, like, hey buddy, find a way to communicate with these, they're gonna look up they're gonna look up to you or like be envious of you depending on your attitude, and you should like be the lion that you are. You know what I mean? It's kind of like what my dad was like, it's your turn to fill these shoes and don't be so selfish. And
if you have a good archery season too, I mean, that opens up everything. Now you could go sit with your son and focus on him getting a deer or something like that. Or like you said, just focus on the other guys more too. And you're the guy pushing now because you got your buck tag filled or so on.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it with our cousin this year for the first day, all day, because it's like, dude, I don't care if I shoot a deer. Like, I've shot my deer in archery. I'm good. And then when walked in front of me and Joe, and I was just had enough. I was like, it's been too long. I was itching.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Dude, we had like 8 opportunities that morning before we even got into the tree, and they were all Joe's opportunity, and he never pulled the trigger. And I was like, I saw this deer. I'm shooting.
I haven't missed with that gun yet. I didn't want to miss.
I'm like, this dude will not shoot his gun. When I saw this deer,
I just didn't want to shoot
blasting this
I didn't want to shoot a doe, really. I mean, I knew we were there to kill, and I think I had an opportunity at one point, and I didn't pull the trigger, but it was just... We were kicking out freaking deer like rabbits out of this.
We were rabbit hunting deer at one point.
Dude, I'm telling you,
like,
insane. We step on some ice and all of a sudden deer kicking out. We're like, what the hell's going on? They were just like 10 yards from us.
Yeah, we walked right past jumping out, and I stepped and broke some ice, and she jumped up and ran behind us.
Like, oh, man.
And it was like one of those moments where you're like, I just want to get to my tree and hunt,
Yeah. You guys always have these stories of deer
popping up right
I'm
in
not
front
hunting
of
the right areas.
Deer everywhere.
I accidentally
that
shot
day.
2 doe on accident and rifled too.
We were there for a buck. I mean,
We were.
in that area, like we're literally about to set up 50 yards from there. Do I really want to start blasting off shots if I'm there for a buck?
Yes.
Yeah. But
I did. If he wasn't standing in front of me, I would have shot that deer.
I thought I was going to be the
100%.
deer.
Dude, at that point, it was
It's
over
hard.
a month since I shot my last deer. I was like, dude, I need
Demons are taking over
It's hard
bad.
not to watch. And then you shoot them and you're like, oh man, I gotta deal with this. It's like I don't always think
Little
about it
bit,
until after.
yeah.
I'm like, oh. Now I'm
Little
getting
bit,
better. I'm
but-
getting better at that though. Like I learned, like even the year before, it's like I waited. I passed on deer in the morning. Like I froze and watched them, and it's like I didn't blow up my spot. I'm like, just like those little things where I don't have to pull my gun up and shoot the first thing I see, like because I don't know. Everybody always yelled at me, but it's like that's the only deer that was shot all week. So it's like if I pass on one, I'm not gonna get one.
Yeah, I don't do
But-
that.
but-
Demons can't. They can't take it. Even when he shot that buck that year in rifle, and we're sitting there, and he's cleaning it up, and we were cutting it all up to pack it out, and a bunch of doe ran across the hillside beside us. I was like, okay, pulled the gun up, bam.
Yeah, it's
blasted
hard.
it.
I have trouble
Oh,
not
man,
shooting
it
one.
Smoked it.
I did smoke it. It ran
Yeah, it
straight
ran
down a cliff.
Down the cliff after you smoked it.
It literally ran 40
Smoked it with a
yards.
308 and it ran
It ran
60 yards down a cliff.
It ran 30 yards and slid 30 yards.
Oh man,
Dude, it was a
is that where
mess.
your deer came up that cliff right there?
Yes.
I remember
Yeah,
the story.
And I shot that one. I was like, dude, I just crushed that deer. And it ran. And I went over there. There was so much. There was blood. I'm not kidding you. 15 feet past where I hit that deer. Just splattered.
Oh man,
Straight backwards. I'm like, holy shit. There's blood everywhere. And I seen where it went down the hill. And I'm talking, this is not a hill.
dude.
This is a fucking cliff. And she went down and you could see where she hit and like rolled and like slid and then hit again. And then I see her like just mangled up like this up against the rock. And I'm like, son of a bitch, I got to get her out of there.
oh man.
This is horrible. It wasn't that bad. It was actually that bad. It was pretty horrible. But if we had the right equipment, it wouldn't have been that bad.
You're good.
If I had the pack I have now, he has his pack with bags and straps and the right equipment, we would have been fine.
That's a whole nother route. That's like the other thing. The pack, I'm like,
So
I keep switching
much.
backpack strap. I bought compression straps to add to my pack. It's like,
Just get what works for you for now,
I'm
man.
like, that's
Yeah, man.
all. I
You'll
gotta
build it.
I'm like, I'm done for the season. I'm
Yeah.
done thinking about it. I'm done looking. Now all the new stuff's coming out. I just gotta chill out.
Yep.
Put
You
the
always gotta-
blinders on, like he said, and relax.
Here's what you got to know. In archery, January's ATA show every year. Everybody always drops their newest products in January. So ATA, that's when all the new prototypes hit the market. That shit doesn't even become available until June, July, August, typically. And you'll start seeing sales. So you'll want to take advantage of big sales like Black Friday, Christmas time, end of year. A lot of times, end of year sales are big because they're trying to drop that old inventory, knowing that they got something new dropping in January at ATA.
Yep.
That they're going to focus on pushing for the next year. So like that's what you want to really start looking at, and that's when you'll start finding those people aftermarket sales start booming because people are like me, I want that one stick.
Yeah.
I'm selling mine.
Yep.
I want that new one stick. That's what you're going to start seeing. But dude, if you would have been like literally 6 months earlier, I had everything. I could have fully outfitted you.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, go use this for a year and figure out if you like it or not. I still got to get a hold of Nathan. He still has my saddle. I'm like, dude, if you like it, buy it. If not, return it. And I'll have a backup saddle. I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, that would have been, like I said, it would have been nice because I was ordering stuff, trying out. I don't like this, ordering something else. It's like, now, you know what I mean? It's like, or I'm like, I'm stuck with this even though I don't like it because I'm not buying something else right now.
Or go to an outdoor show. Like we're going to go to the
That's
Great
what he
American
said,
Outdoor
yeah.
Show coming up.
That's
here.
what he was saying.
What, next
Sit in
weekend?
some saddles, try some platforms.
You can try everything.
Yeah,
dude.
that's what I want. Because the XOP platform, I'm like, that's the only thing I haven't upgraded yet. And I'm like, it kind of sucks. It's bulky, but I don't know until I try a new one. It's like this, I don't know how bad this sucks, but I'm using it as long as it works and it's not like killing me.
Yeah, I'm still gonna probably keep my cruiser, just because like the pine tree spot probably need a fixed stand in it, right? The new spot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing with that, I mean, I have the same gloves from when I was probably 14, 13. If you could use it and it's not really giving you a hard time, go on to your priorities.
Yeah.
Like I said,
The instant
I could get
upgrades
better
were-
gloves. I'm sure I could. It's more of a luck thing, I think, in my head. But
It's like something
There's
that's
holes all
super
through 'em.
uncomfortable.
I'd probably just get
or
new
old
gloves.
Under Armour gloves that they're a mess. But it's one of those things like you keep going year and year and year and year, and how long do you really use it? But yeah, I mean, equipment does matter a lot more for sure. But like I said, priorities. What do you need? What do you need to upgrade right now?
Yeah.
All right. Listen, it's been 2 hours and 20 minutes on this thing. Seems like it's been 20 minutes.
Flies by, dude.
Yeah.
It's late.
It's great.
Joe's got to work tomorrow. He's going to yell at us. My watch died. So I have literally zero communication to the world right now.
Oh no,
What was
baby
that?
monitor's dying.
I was going to say, and now there's like an Amber Alert or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
Joe, can you tell your friend that this is over now and he can stop talking?
Cody, this is over now.
Sorry, guys.
I'm just kidding. I'm
Sorry.
not allowed to say
We could have done that a lot differently.
No, it's been fun, man.
That was good.
Yeah.
Listen,
Good one.
You're
Cody,
natural, dude. This is perfect.
thank you, buddy.
Yeah,
Thank you
appreciate
for
you
joining
coming.
us. I had a blast. I hope
I
you
did
had
Thanks
a
for
good
having me.
time, too.
I did it, man. Guys, I appreciate it so much. I had a great time.
Heck yeah.
Come back
Um,
again.
I'd
We're
love
going to have to bring
Yeah.
it back. Maybe not episode 200. You might not have
No, that's
yet,
okay.
But you know
I'm
what?
working my way. I'm working my
Listen.
way into the world, and
We'll have you back. And I've had a blast.
I have too.
this is great. I was worried because everybody's like, I got to work tomorrow. I'm going to hunt. I'm like, dude, Joe's coming. I was like, is he even going to let me tell my story? I'm like writing notes, and I'm like, dude, I got my story out way too fast. I'm like stumbling. I'm like, oh, there's plenty of time. Everybody's talking, having a good time. It was like,
It's dudes bullshitting
Yeah,
about
I
hunting. We
mean-
just recorded, dude.
I'm like, this is great. I was like,
Yeah.
everything that I hoped that it was going to be just as chill, and
Anytime you
man.
talk about Deer Avenger and a deer story,
that
at the
was
same
great. I
one,
forgot. I
Pretty
gotta go.
awesome.
I'm gonna
That's
find
pretty
Deer
awesome.
Avenger when I get home.
Those simulator games.
He's gonna
great.
stop archery hunting and just play Deer Avenger.
Yeah.
That's just new.
I
It's gonna be
could
his new
still
addiction.
picture that bar. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? The
dude.
bar
Dude.
top and
Such a good
Call,
time.
call,
The
call,
lodge,
call.
Yeah. Such
Yeah.
a good game.
great game.
So fun.
All right.
Yeah.
Anybody have any last words before we cut this thing short? Cut it off. It's not short. Joe?
All good. No.
Cody? Any last words, buddy?
No, just thanks a lot, guys, and I'm happy to be a fan. And now also, I was on the show, and that was really appreciated, dude.
Yeah. Are
Yeah,
we
dude.
friends now? Or are we
We're
okay?
definitely friends. I
We're
just
good
had
now?
to check with you first.
All right,
I
yeah.
call you my friend.
Just not Joe's
Yeah.
friend. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep it. Hey, turkey season.
Let's do it. I've been talking about turkey
It's
hunting.
a trap. It's a trap, Cody.
Let's do it.
It's trying to steal your friendship
It's
from
the
me.
do
best
it.
trap you'll ever run into.
I went
though.
pheasant hunting for the first time last year. and
Pheasants suck.
I'm
It's
like,
fun.
turkey, I want to
Shut
do
up.
turkey.
Pheasants
Yeah.
suck. Okay, pheasants.
Austin, I've
Gets
been
by a stamp. It's
hearing
stupid.
your voice all the time, listening. Now I get to meet
Hey.
you, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he's even cooler than. I'm like, that voice, I can't put a face to it.
It's okay.
I'm like, this is cool.
Better or worse, his face. Better or worse than you imagined.
But I think it's better than the
Yeah?
voice.
Yeah?
Than I thought. I
Ooh.
couldn't tell. I really,
That
I like
face
thought
maybe
I
not.
saw a picture of him before. I'm like, I'm like, yeah, this dude's
Yeah.
cool.
I'm here.
He's
Yeah.
part Mexican. Did you know
Definitely chill.
I'm not. Fuck you.
Damn, dude.
You made a Dorito, okay?
that? You did.
All right, guys. Until next week.
My man.
Hey, the distraction is real.
Distraction's real.